Chapter 1305. A man walked down the stairs. When she looked at him, his eyes were as dazzling as the stars. It was unforgettable and unforgettable. The man was reserved and domineering. Every step he took was steady. Wu Lulian stared at him in awe. When they went back, she didn't see Gu Jingze at school. She was too lazy to attend the funeral, so she didn't see him. Now that he was walking towards them with a faint smile and a domineering aura, it made people feel that this person was not an ordinary person. He looked at Lin Che and smiled. "Are you done?" Sufa called out, "Oh my, he's really pretty." Although she had seen him before, she was still surprised to see him. Sufan said, "Hello, niece-in-law. Are you here to pick Xiaoche up?" Xiaoche said that you were too busy, so we didn't go and greet you. Gu Jingze glanced at her. "It's okay, as long as you're having fun here." Yeah, of course we're happy. Xiaoche is so nice to us. How can we not be happy?" Lu Yin looked at them from behind. She tugged at her mother and asked, "Is this brother-in-law?" "Yeah, it's your first time seeing him. Come take a look." Lu Yin was envious. She stood there and looked at him. "Hello, brother-in-law." Gu Jingze glanced at her indifferently. "Let's go. Once you're done, let's go home." Lin Che said, "Okay, I'll take them to the company later." Gu Jingze said, "Let's get in the car first." Lin Che and Gu Jingze sat in the same car. The mother and daughter sat in the other car behind them. The mother and daughter sat in the car. Wu Lulian tugged at her mother and said, "You didn't tell me that he's so handsome." "What do you mean handsome?" "That Lin Che's man." "You mean your brother-in-law? He's so handsome. When I asked you to come back for the funeral, you said that you couldn't get up. He was there then. I didn't know he was so handsome." Sufan said, "Look at her. Why is her life so good? She earns money and her husband is so good. Look, when her grandmother passed away at home, she ran around without a word of complaint. It's great to be a superstar. You can have the best of everything," Flowing Love sighed. "You still have to be able to do it first. Didn't you hear what Lin Che said? It's not easy to be a celebrity." I think she just doesn't want to help me." "Why wouldn't I want to help? I can't. Lin Che doesn't seem like that kind of person." "Why not?" "Look, she's saying that I can't be a celebrity. Only she can be one. Of course, if I become a celebrity, wouldn't I be stealing her rice bowl? Who doesn't want to have more competitors? Besides, she's a big star now, so she feels superior in front of us. It can't be." Sufan felt that her daughter's words made sense. Who didn't want trouble? She would probably find it too troublesome. Soon, they arrived at the entrance of Lin Che's studio. Lin Che's studio had already moved to a bigger office. At this moment, it was a small building with a few floors. It was his family's studio. There were the artists' dormitories, the trainees' dormitories, the canteen, the trainer's room, the meeting room, and the general office. Lin Che brought the two of them in and went straight to the trainees' practice room. From the outside, they could see the training inside. Some trainees were dancing. They were sweating profusely as they communicated with each other seriously. After practicing for a while, they practiced their manners and smiled at the mirror. It looked silly, but it wasn't easy to do it. Naturally, Flowing Love could tell that these trainees all had extraordinary looks. Just by looking at them, she could tell that they had the temperament of a celebrity. They were carefully selected by Lin Che's studio. Trainees who could enter their company were not just for show. They wouldn't take in people randomly. Most of the trainees they took in had the potential to debut. They weren't like other companies where it was easy to take in people and the chances of them debuting were lower. Therefore, looking at these trainees, people would definitely believe them if they were already celebrities. Flowing Love looked at them from behind and asked, "Are these all celebrities from your company?" Lin Che said, "They haven't debuted yet." "Huh. Our company wants to sign trainees to come over and train them for a while. From manners, to the way they should deal with reporters, to the way they speak, to their talents, to their performance on variety shows, to their character, and so on. We'll train them until they have their own characteristics, and we can spend money to promote them. That will be considered a success. Therefore, you definitely can't go for the audition today. If you want to be a celebrity, you have to start from the beginning." Flowing Love didn't have the patience to do that. She really wanted to become famous when she saw the benefits of being a celebrity from Lin Che. Flowing Love said, "But I'm 16 now. Isn't it the right time?" Celebrities don't eat young people's meals. How long will you take to train me? It's such a waste of my time. That can't be helped. If you debut now, the competition will be fierce. You don't have any talents, manners, and you don't know anything. Do you think you can compete with them? How many steps can you take? Flowing love, bitter lips. She wasn't convinced, but she really didn't know anything and didn't know what to say. She felt that being a celebrity wasn't that complicated. Didn't many people say that some celebrities became famous by sleeping with others? Although she still had her first time, it wasn't impossible for her to give up her first time if someone touched her. Looking at these people, she thought that she could still become a celebrity if she didn't rely on them. Lin Shaye looked at her and sneered. He continued, "All right, you guys can continue your tour. You can walk around, but don't move around. I'll go in and settle some things." Sufan looked at the young people inside and sighed. "Aya, they're all like flowers. They're so beautiful. Flowing love, I think Lin Shaye is right. Compared to them, you're still lacking. Why don't you let Lin Shaye train you too? Train me? That's a waste of time. Humph, she just doesn't want me to become a celebrity. It's okay, I don't have to rely on her. I'll see how they do it first. It'll be the same if I do it myself." Sigh, flowing love, don't be reckless. I'm not, Mom. Anyway, I've been here for too long. I don't think I can go back. Look, this is so nice. We don't have anything there. Why should we go back? But our home is over there. What kind of home is that? Look, Lin Shaye has so many empty houses. They're just empty. Why don't we live here? There are so many rich people here. Even if I get to know one of them, it's better than eating dirt at home, isn't it? Chapter 1306. Sufan felt that the villa was really good. It was comfortable and bright. No matter how she looked at it, it was good. She sighed and thought that it was a pity that it was not hers. However, Lu Lian was right. Lin Shaye had a lot of houses like this. It would not be a big deal if she stayed in one, since there was no one staying here anyway. Sufan called Lin Shaye quickly and asked where she was. Lin Shaye said, "I'm outside." "What's wrong?" "I haven't seen your kids since I came here, so I want to go and give them some presents." Lin Shaye asked, "Oh, what are you going to give them? They're just kids." "That won't do. Although you don't lack anything, we still have to give them some presents. It's a gesture from the elders. Kids are the future of a family." Lin Shaye said, "Of course it's good to let them know each other, but you don't have to give them presents. We're outside now. I'll send someone to pick you up." Sufan knew that she would not reject this. After all, these were all traditional etiquettes, and she had a legitimate reason to go there. She wanted to see her and give the kids some presents. Then, she would say that she wanted to stay here for a while. Since Lin Shaye was so rich, he might not let her move out of the villa. She only brought Lu Lian along so that the men in the family would not make a mistake. When he arrived, he saw two children who looked like they were carved from jade playing on the lawn in the distance. Lin Shaye sat on a blanket at the side and watched. Beside him, there was no one who came to disturb him. There were only a few people playing on the huge lawn. Looking from afar, he realized that this place was already under the control of someone. Gu Jingze was sitting on a chair with his legs crossed. He was reading a book under the sun. This family was like a painting. The mother was kind and the son was filial. The husband and wife were harmonious. Look at this family. They were all so beautiful that Sufan pulled Lu Lian over. The bodyguard saw them and made way for them. Sufan said, "Wow, the two kids have grown up." Gu Shinian was playing with Gu Shiwan. He raised his head and looked at Sufan. Gu Shinian was disgusted by her expression, so he just looked at Sufan and ignored her. Gu Shiwan didn't understand these things at all. He just ate and didn't bother to talk to others. Sufan was still smiling as she watched. She said to Lin Shaye, "What two beautiful children." As Sufan spoke, she handed over some things. "These are all from my hometown. I heard that the people in the city like them. We grew these ourselves and brought some for you." Sufan was considerate. She thought that they didn't lack anything, so she might as well give them a token of appreciation. Lin Shaye said with a smile, "Thank you for bringing it to us from so far away." Unaccountably solicitous. Lin Shaye didn't think that they had such intentions. After asking someone to accept the gifts, he looked at the two of them with a smile, thinking that they might be leaving B City. He wanted to send them away as soon as possible so that there wouldn't be so much trouble. He really couldn't bring himself to like them. They were too snobbish and didn't have the slightest bit of sincerity. Lin Che said, "Then I'll get someone to do it. Please wait a moment." She turned around and said, "Take these things and make them." "Yes, madam." Gu Jingzi said, "In that case, why don't we have a picnic outside?" "Okay." Lin Che thought that it was rare for the weather to be so good today. It was neither hot nor cold, and the environment here was so beautiful. They would definitely have a good appetite. Gu Jingzi turned around and ordered, "Get someone to prepare the table and chairs. We'll eat outside today." "Yes, sir." The few of them listened to the order and quickly prepared the food. The speed with which they prepared the food was also amazing. The long table was set up and covered with a very elegant tablecloth. Exquisite chairs were placed on both sides of the table. After a while, a servant bowed respectfully and asked, "Sir, is there anything you want to eat tonight? Make those things as you see fit. Make some vanilla egg custard with some whitebait. Make some wooden sugar desserts and a few fruit platters." "Yes, sir." "We don't want rice. Just make some desserts." "Yes, sir." The servant left, and someone else came to prepare the exquisite cutlery. The servant pulled out the chairs and let them sit down. After a while, the food was served. Su Fun was surprised to see that the coarse grain she had just brought had been made into exquisite meals. It looked very appetizing. Their family chef was too amazing. She quickly pulled Lu Yin to sit down. Lu Yin was focused on Gu Jingzi. She did not say a word. She was looking at this man, trying to guess if this man had any weaknesses. However, no matter what, he was perfect and impeccable. His every movement was filled with nobility, especially when he was giving orders just now. It made people feel that he had the demeanor of a king. He gave a series of clear orders, and he was so calm that it was amazing. Lin Che said, "This area is so beautiful." They sat down to eat and felt that it was more interesting. Gu Jingzi said, "This area hasn't been developed yet." "What? Is it going to be developed?" "I heard that it's going to be developed into a stadium." "No way. There's so many stadiums in City B. It's such a waste to excavate this area," Lin Che said. Gu Jingzi looked around and said, "Do you want it?" "What do you want?" "This piece of land." But this isn't the Gu family's land, right?" Lin Che said. Hearing her words, Gu Jingzi raised his hand and said, "Tell someone to contact the development committee. Tell them that I want this piece of land." "Yes, sir." The person beside him didn't suspect anything and went to make the call. Gu Jingzi didn't have any reason to say that he wanted it. Su Fun was dumbfounded. Lu Yin was also completely conquered by this man's domineering aura. When could she meet such a man? Lin Che said in surprise, I was just saying. It's okay. You can keep it if you want. You can bring your children here to play in the future." But this was land. How could he keep it just because he wanted it? It was too extravagant. Gu Jingzi said, "If you don't want it, it will be developed into a concrete building. Why don't you keep it? It's much cooler." Yes, there were many trees and grass here, so it was cooler than outside. Lin Che looked around and said, "Okay then." Gu Jingzi looked at her dotingly. He smiled and picked up food for her intimately. Lu Yin, who was sitting opposite, almost drooled. This man was too good a Lin Che. Was this for real? Did Lin Che buy for her just because he said that he wanted it? Chapter 1307. While Gu Jingzi was up, he went to make the call. Su Fun came over curiously and asked, "What does our nephew's son-in-law do? He looks so rich." Lin Che smiled. "He's just a businessman." Su Fun said, "Then his business must be very big." Lin Che didn't say anything this time. She looked at the dishes and pouted as she poked at the food in the bowl. She ate it and felt that it was delicious. She had never eaten such delicious food before. Moreover, she didn't expect that the food was made from the coarse grains they had brought with them. She felt that the food looked like it was made by a big restaurant. It looked like food that would only appear on a TV show. Life here was really too good. So good that people really didn't want to go back. Su Fun reminded Su Fun not to forget her purpose of coming here. Su Fun saw it and said to Lin Che, "Oh yeah, we're looking around here. I'm going to find a job and stay here to earn some money. The salary here is really high. A dishwasher gets more than 4,000 a month. It's only about 1,000 at home. It's so boring. Why don't I work here?" Lin Che looked at her. He narrowed his eyes and smiled without saying anything. This meant that he wasn't here to say goodbye, but to talk about this. She said, "Really? Of course it's not bad. Although the salary here is high, the expenses are also very high." "No way. I don't think it's high. We haven't spent much money these few days," Sufan said. Lin Che said, "You can go to the market and see how much a piece of pork and vegetables cost. It's not a joke. It's at least twice as expensive as home. Let's not talk about other things. The rent is more than $2,000 a month, and it's in a remote area. If you stay here, you have to pay attention to these things." Sufan's face turned green. Why did he mention the rent? Did he mean that he wasn't going to let them stay in the villa? Sufan laughed and said, "Then can we stay at your place first? I'll move out when I find a place." Lin Che said, "If you can't find it, I can help you find it." No, we could take our time to look at it. There's no need to go through so much trouble. I see that no one lives in your place, and it's a pity to leave it there. Some houses are always empty, and that's not good. The more empty the house is, the worse it is. We won't live there for nothing. We'll look after the house for you, and we'll make sure to clean it." Lin Che wanted to say that they didn't need to clean the place, that it would be clean as well, but he didn't say anything at this moment. He calmly ate his food and listened to Sufan's long speech. At this moment, Gu Shinian said in a childish voice, "Aren't there maids cleaning over there?" Sufan's face darkened. She glared at the child who didn't look very old, but a child's words carried no harm. She had never thought that Gu Shinian was different from other children of the same age. She just thought that he was spouting nonsense and exposing her good words. Lin Che pursed his lips and smiled. He looked at Gu Shinian, but didn't say anything. Gu Jingza returned to his seat and said to Lin Che, "I might need to go out for a while." "Oh, okay. I'm going abroad for a few days." "A few days?" Lin Che pouted and looked at him. "Going abroad again." Gu Jingza smiled and touched her cheek. "I'll be back in a few days." "Okay, where are you going?" "Dean." "Ugh, I haven't been to Dean yet." "Do you mean that you want to go too?" "Of course not. I'm not going. I don't want to disturb your work." "All right, go to your work. Don't worry about me." Lin Che calculated in her heart. Wouldn't he be going abroad just in time for Chinese Valentine's Day? The plan that she had thought of was going to be ruined. Originally, she thought that she didn't have any surprises to give him, so she planned to learn how to order by herself. That was why she had been begging the chef at home to teach her every day, hoping that she could make a table full of dishes that weren't dark cuisine for him to eat. Now that he was going abroad, what was she going to do? Because of this, she was extremely anxious. She felt melancholy whenever she saw him. Why did it have to happen now? Gu Jingzi smiled and stroked her hair. Sitting opposite them, Lu Yin acted as if they didn't exist. The two of them chatted intimately, as if there was no one else around them. Every time Gu Jingzi spoke, he would stare at Lin Che closely. The gentleness in his eyes was so strong that it made people really envious. She didn't know that a man could be so gentle and doting, especially a noble man like him. After dinner, Sufan said goodbye and left. She walked with Lu Yin and said to her, "Look at the man she found. You should set this as your goal in the future." Lu Yin said, "It's because he's a star. Many rich men like small stars. If I can be a star, I can definitely find such a good man. TSK, but I don't know what kind of business his family is doing. Why does he look so rich and go abroad whenever he has nothing to do?" Lu Yin said, "Dubai seems to be a very rich place." Lu Yin looked forward to it. Sufan pulled Lu Yin back home. After Light, which Lin Che and Gu Jingyu starred in, was released, it became a huge success. After that, Panda TV gave up on chasing after it. They seemed to understand that they couldn't catch up. Once the ratings and reputation of the show went down, it would be hard to get it back up. Therefore, they didn't pay much attention to the promotion of Queen of the Morning Sun. After the release of Queen of the Morning Sun, it could no longer be compared to Light. After Radiance 1, Lin Che planned to start working on the second season. Because the game was relatively large, Light only filmed a small part of it. There were many other plots that could be filmed separately. When the TV series reached the end, Lin Che and Gu Jingyu appeared on the show together again. The people at Panda TV regretted it so much that their intestines turned green. They kept staring at Lin Che and Gu Jingyu when they were filming the show. If they had known this would happen, they wouldn't have believed Liang Shan's words. They would have listened to him and let Wu Yufei be the star first. It was a pity that Lin Shei's appeal was much stronger than Wu Yufei's. Especially now that Lin Shei was a different person, Wu Yufei couldn't be compared to him. Although Wu Yufei was very popular recently, she still needed some time to mature. Lin Shei had the ability, good foresight, good script, and good planning, which allowed her to succeed again and again. They couldn't help but sigh. Lin Shei's foresight was really good. It seemed that they really couldn't offend Lin Shei next time, lest they lost inexplicably. Chapter 1308. Lin Shei interacted with Gu Jingyu on stage, making people feel that they were very loving. Because they were really familiar with each other and weren't faking it, the two of them had a tacit understanding in everything they did. It was also very real, making people feel comfortable watching them, because the two of them actually behaved the same way after they got off the stage. Lin Shei looked at Gu Jingyu and said, "Let's go eat after we leave." "No, I have an appointment." "Appointment? When did you have an appointment?" Seeing Lin Shei's ambiguous gaze, Gu Jingyu snorted. "What are you thinking about?" "I just took on a movie, and I'm going to talk to the director." "Ah, you took on a new movie? That means you're preparing to make a comeback?" "I'm free anyways." "Okay, I'll be leaving first." "Okay." Gu Jingyu said goodbye to Lin Shei. Seeing the director was just a matter of a few minutes of greeting. He didn't need to put in a good word with the director like those small stars. It wasn't that he wanted to act like a big shot, but from the start, he was used to greeting the director and saying that they would discuss other things on the set. Then he would leave. So he always felt that everyone should do the same. Until later on, he found out that some actors would treat the director to a meal and get close to him. They would talk for a long time before leaving. But he was used to it, so he didn't change it. So after that, he would greet the director and leave every time. The director naturally didn't dare to make things difficult for Gu Jingyu, and he definitely wouldn't make things difficult for him just because of this. In the end, although Gu Jingyu could become so popular because he was a good actor, hardworking, and professional, after he entered the industry, he did receive a lot of special treatment because he was a member of the Gu family. It wasn't what he thought, but naturally, there would be a lot of shortcuts. Suwon quit her job at the bar and found a night shift at the convenience store nearby. Chun Jian immediately came over. He didn't want to be a young master anymore, and instead, he took on a part-time job here. Seeing Chun Jian running over, Suwon couldn't help but think of what Gu Jingyu said that day. When she looked at Chun Jian again, she couldn't help but wonder if Gu Jingyu would really come looking for her again. The two got off work from the convenience store in the wee hours of the morning. Suwon looked at Chun Jian. "It's not like you lack money. Why did you stay up so late with me? Anyway, we don't have any classes in our class. It's good for me to accompany you. What's wrong with going out if you don't have class? Also, I haven't worked much outside before. Just consider it an experience." Suwon looked at him and thought for a bit. She took out the money she had prepared a long time ago from her pocket. "I've settled some money in the past few days. Here." "Hey, what are you doing?" Chun Jian immediately declined. "No need. I don't lack money to spend. You can give it to me when you have enough. Just take it first. I'm leaving it with you. You can return it to me when you have more money." "No, I have to give it to you." Suwon directly grabbed his hand and shoved it into him. "Suwon, Chun Jian, if you still think of me as a friend, then take it. Otherwise, I will be too embarrassed to see you again, and I might really not see you anymore." Chun Jian sighed and looked at Suwon helplessly. "How can I be a friend like you? I can't just watch you suffer. But no matter what, I have to rely on myself. Don't tell me I'll be saved by you for a lifetime?" Suwon said. Chun Jian looked at her. He wanted to say that a lifetime was fine too. He slowly inched closer to her. A lifetime is fine too. Suwon's heart trembled. She subconsciously wanted to reject him. A lifetime. This wasn't a normal conversation between two friends. She hurriedly dodged a little and looked at Chun Jian. "Chun Jian, I'm really grateful for your efforts towards me, but you think that you understand me very well. You think that I'm a very good person, but I'm not. I'm not suitable for you, and you don't understand me." Chun Jian's expression darkened slightly. A bit red, a bit embarrassed, and a bit disappointed. But in the end, he didn't despair. "You've suffered a lot. I think I can give you a home." "Really? I can take care of you. I can give you a safe place so your family can't bully you anymore. Really, I'm sincere. You can consider it. Suwon, how can I not understand you? Of course I understand you. Of course I understand you. I know you're sincere, but I'm not worthy of you. Really? No. How can you not be worthy of me? You're the cutest, kindest, and most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Dummy. She smiled bitterly. I'm really not. I'm really bad. Shinjian, sorry. I really can't be with you. Other than me, no one can help you leave your home. Su family is so overbearing. How can they let you go? Suwon. No, no one can save me. Shinjian, I can't drag you down anymore. Goodbye. Saying this, she pushed Chun Jin away and ran inside. Chun Jin stood behind and watched in a daze, but he didn't give up. Suwon, I definitely won't give up. The next day, Suwon had just gotten up when she felt someone playing the guitar. The people in the dormitory shouted, "Ah, young Master Chun. Suwon, you're really lucky. Young Master Chun is confessing to you. Heh, you're really lucky. Where did you get the ability to hook up with men?" Several roommates looked at Suwon and said in a gloomy voice. Suwon jumped up. She looked over and saw Chun Jian. There was even a Suwon, a love you sign underneath. He sat in the middle and held the guitar, playing Tomorrow, You Have to Marry Me. Suwon was distressed and quickly went down. Ah, the female lead is here. Everyone looked at Suwon and shouted. Suwon blushed because she didn't know how to deal with it. Chun Jian looked at Suwon and walked over with the flowers. Suwon, I love you. I hope to be with you. Everyone shouted, be together, be together. However, Suwon felt even more embarrassed. Rejecting him here seemed to make him lose face. But if she didn't reject, it wasn't good either. She could only say, Chun Jian, let's go over there and talk. No, right here. Suwon, I hope you can promise me. Suwon looked to the side and stomped her feet. Let's go. Follow me over there. He pulled Chun Jian up forcefully, and the two of them went to the side amidst the noise of the crowd. Chun Jian, stop messing around. I've already said what I need to say. What do you mean stop messing around? Suwon, I'm not messing around. Why can't you promise me? Because she really can't. At this time, a voice suddenly appeared behind them. Chun Jian inexplicably felt that this voice was familiar. He turned around and saw who was that. Chapter 1309. Gu Jingyu. Suwon hadn't reacted yet. Why did Gu Jingyu come? Why did he appear here? Even Chun Jian felt surprised as he stared at Gu Jingyu, who walked over. Gu Jingyu's gaze was serene, as if it was a cold black hole. He glanced at Chun Jian, and it made him freeze. Chun Jian stood there. You. Gu Jingyu had already arrived in front of Suwon. He pulled Suwon's delicate body, making Suwon call him softly. She raised her head and looked at Gu Jingyu, then quickly struggled to free herself. What are you doing, Gu Jingyu? Let go of me. Let go. But compared to Gu Jingyu, Suwon was still too weak. After all, there are differences between men and women. Chun Jian looked at the two. You guys. Suwon, he's... Gu Jingyu? He still didn't believe it. Of course, he knew Gu Jingyu. Everyone in the country knew him, especially since he was a director. However, he had never seen Gu Jingyu before. He had never seen him in person, so he didn't dare to recognize him. Especially since he knew Suwon. Suwon pursed her lips. Her resentful face flushed red. She stared at him with her bell-like eyes, as if she wanted to cut him into pieces. But Gu Jingyu didn't care. Gu Jingyu pulled Suwon and looked at Chun Jian. That's right. It's me. Chun Jian looked at Suwon in disbelief. How do you know him? Suwon would usually tell him if something happened. But Chun Jian really didn't know when she knew Gu Jingyu, and she actually didn't tell him. Suwon's face wrinkled, her heart already tangled into a ball. What did Gu Jingyu want to do? Gu Jingyu quietly raised the corner of his lips with a smile of knowing the answer, but his eyes were cold as he looked at her. With a bit of sarcasm, it was like a powerful hook that made people's hearts ache. Oh, you didn't tell your good friend about me? Suwon's heart tightened. You. Gu Jingyu, there's nothing between us. Is there nothing wrong? The smile on his face turned cold. Of course. At least now, there was nothing between them. Their relationship had been severed long ago. Huh. A mocking sound came out of his mouth. So scared, his unfathomable eyes were immediately filled with darkness. He hooked his arm around her waist again and said directly, "Are you afraid that he will find out?" Chunjian had already gone crazy. "You, how could you guys be so?" His eyes were red with anger. How could Gu Jingyu's hand be so close? How could you treat Su Wan like this? He shouted. Gu Jingyu sneered. What's wrong with that? We've been closer than that. Didn't she tell you about our relationship? Didn't she tell you how she begged to climb in my bed? Gu Jingyu sneered. All of a sudden, Chun Jian's face was as if an atomic bomb had just exploded. He was in a trance. What? What do you mean by crawling in his bed? Su Wan shook her head, her eyes already filled with mist. She looked at Chun Jian's shocked expression and bit her lip. It's not what you think, it's not like that, Chun Jian. Chun Jian looked at Gu Jingyu as if he wanted to see a negative answer from his face. But he didn't. Chun Jian sneered and looked at Su Wan. No wonder you wanted to reject me. So there's a richer master supporting you. No, she didn't reject him because of this. It's because they were friends. Chun Jian's eyes were filled with disbelief and disappointment. Yeah, I really don't understand you. I didn't know that you're this kind of person, Su Wan. Chun Jian clenched his fists tightly and wanted to charge over, but Gu Jingyu blocked his way and narrowed his eyes at him. Chun Jian clenched his nails so hard that they were about to dig into his palms before he suppressed his anger. Then, he ran out without looking back. He didn't think that she would sell herself to become someone else's lover. How could she be this kind of person? He knew that with Gu Jingyu's status, he couldn't possibly have any feelings for Su Wan. He just wanted to play with her body. But she was willing. Because Gu Jingyu was rich and powerful, he could get whatever he wanted. He was really desperate for her. Chun Jian. Su Wan wanted to chase after him. However, his arm was stopped by someone. Su Wan turned around and slapped Gu Jingyu's face. Gu Jingyu's face turned to the side from the slap. Su Wan gasped. She didn't think that she would make a move. She didn't think that she would dare to make a move. This was Gu Jingyu. But she really couldn't take it anymore. Gu Jingyu's eyes slowly exuded an icy aura. It was like an enchanting mist, making people feel as if they were surrounded by coldness. Down below, Gu Jingyu suddenly pressed her against the tree. Hit me? Su Wan, who gave you the guts? Su Wan bit her lips. Why are you doing this? Gu Jingyu sneered. No reason. Because I like it. You think you can do whatever you want just because you like it? You're right. It's fine as long as I like it. Otherwise, you can ask Chun Jian to come and take revenge. He can come and take you back. Let's see if he has the ability and guts. So arrogant. So arrogant. But Su Wan really couldn't do anything to him. After all, he did have the capital to be arrogant. Su Wan snorted and said directly, I hate you. Then, he turned around and ran out. I hate you? This was the first time he heard something like this. Su Wan returned to the dormitory. Everyone was still looking at her. Oh, you're with young Master Chen now? Not bad, not bad. Aren't you going to treat us to a meal? Then you'll be the young mistress in the future. Su Wan didn't want to bother with them and directly picked up her phone to call Chun Jian. However, he didn't pick up after hanging up. Then she saw that Chun Jian posted a message on his WeChat moments. Some people are too lowly. You may know a person for a long time, but not his heart. Yes, I misjudged you. You hurt my heart. I want to see how far you can go. How high you can go. She had never seen Chun Jian so angry. Yes, she really hurt his heart. But she really didn't want to lie to him. But how could she speak about the deal with Gu Jingyu? She didn't expect that after so long, Gu Jingyu still wouldn't let her go. Lin Shay wanted to send Gu Jingzi off early in the morning. Gu Jingzi stood there and looked at her. She pursed her lips, not very happy. Gu Jingzi said, You can't bear for me to leave? You can go. I'm not reluctant. This is work, I know. Lin Shay said. Gu Jingzi's lips moved down, and he wanted to kiss her. Lin Shay dodged and snorted. No kiss. Hurry up and leave. Gu Jingzi frowned. Why was he so angry? He felt like he wasn't like this yesterday. Lin Shay pushed him again. Hurry up and leave. Look at the time. We'll be late. Chapter 1310. Gu Jingzi looked at her deeply. Do you really want me to leave? No. I'm just worried that you'll be late. Gu Jingze looked at her lowered face. You're not really angry, are you? I'll come back early. No need, Lin Che said impatiently. Work is more important. Go do what you need to do. Gu Jingze was pushed out of the door again. Gu Jingze's big leather shoes stepped forward, but he suddenly grabbed Lin Che's waist with the back of his hand. Pressing his face down, he planted a deep, lingering kiss on her lips. Lin Che wanted to push him away, but it was too late. The moment his tongue entered her mouth, Lin Che couldn't help but be intoxicated. As he delved deeper, his previous impatience and pretense all crumbled in an instant. He looked at her dazed and reluctant look with satisfaction. Then he let go of her and said, Wait for me. I'll come back as soon as possible. After getting into the car, Gu Jingze looked down at the calendar. There were still 3 days until Chinese Valentine's Day. He seemed to understand. No wonder she was so sad. It was Valentine's Day. He smiled and said to the people in front, Get them ready. We'll finish as soon as possible. We must be back in 3 days. Lin Che only reacted after a long time. This Gu Jingze seduced her at the slightest disagreement. She shook her head and began to tidy up. He called Qin Hao as soon as he could. Although Qin Hao was going to Dean City with Gu Jingze, they didn't take the same car. Therefore, he immediately picked up the phone. Lin Che said, Don't forget to follow my plan when you arrive. Yes, madam. If I'm killed by President Gu, you must. Okay. Don't worry, I'll save you. At least I won't let you die in front of me. Ha ha. In that case, he would still die. Qin Hao prayed silently. Madam, don't joke with me. President Gu won't bear to do anything to you. I'll be the one to die. Oh, Gu Jingze isn't that scary. Hurry up and go. Sob. He's not scary to you, but he's scary to us. Qin Hao hung up the phone, prepared to die. Lin Che, on the other hand, hummed a song and began to prepare. Dongzi, help me prepare a ticket to Dean City. Yes, Mississippi. As soon as Gu Jingze arrived at Dean City, he began to pack up. Dean's most exclusive restaurant. After Gu Jingze settled down, he briefly met with the people here. Then, he heard that his arrival had alarmed the royal family here. Gu Jingze frowned. I don't think I told anyone that I'm here. Qin Hao felt a little guilty, but he could only say, Sir, it's my fault. I probably told my subordinates that I wanted to stay here to see if there was anyone in the way, so I checked the facilities here. I guess that's how it alarmed them. Gu Jingze glanced at Qin Hao, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He only said, This time, the third prince invited me to dinner. It seems that I have to go. It was just a waste of time. He had to give face to the royal family in case there were too many believers here, and it would cause some unnecessary trouble. Qin Hao heaved a sigh of relief and went to make arrangements. If he didn't use the royal family, how could he stop Gu Jingze? Qin Hao had no choice. Madam said that she would stop Gu Jingze for a while, meaning that Gu Jingze couldn't go back before Chinese Valentine's Day. Gu Jingze was also a little anxious. He looked at the time and the calendar. There were still 2 days left. After that, when the third prince saw Gu Jingze, he would definitely treat him to a feast. The royal family here was well known for how extravagant they were. It wasn't because they wanted to be extravagant, but because they were really too rich, they unconsciously raised the standard of living. This was somewhat different from the introverted character of the Sea country in the past. In Sea country, even though the Gu family was also rich, they never thought of showing off. But here, it was different. They didn't care about that. Under the hospitality of the royal family, Gu Jingze couldn't go out to do anything for 2 consecutive days. On the 3rd day, Qin Hao said helplessly, Sir, don't worry. Madam will understand. At the mention of Lin Che, Gu Jingze's face only became gloomier. Qin Hao said hurriedly, Sir, why don't you think about what gift to buy for Madam? A gift is better than nothing. We don't know if we can go back or not, so it's better to take precautions. Gu Jingze's expression softened, and he thought about what to buy. Just then, the third prince came again. Gu, let me take you to taste the best girls we have here. No need. I'm not interested in girls, Gu Jingze said directly. No way you like men? That's true, the third prince said. Gu Jingze turned around. I have a wife, so I'm not interested in these things. Don't be like that. I know you can't have contact with women, But believe me, I have a medicine here that can allow you to have contact with women for a short period of time. It's enough for you to play with them once. Because of the medical cooperation with the royal family, the third prince knew about his illness. Gu Jingzi said, "Really? Why? Are you interested in this medicine? It's very rare. It took me a lot of effort to develop it. You'll know after you try it." "What is it?" "Far away. An enzyme that can kill everything for a short period of time. Apply it on your body, and it can completely isolate these enzymes so you can have contact with them. This is worth 1,000 gold per gram, and it's very valuable. But I'm willing to give it to you. Look at how good I am to you. You can't not come and try it." "I really can't. I have a wife." "Ah, okay, you're really. Then you can accompany me to have a look. I've been with you for 2 days, and I haven't touched a woman. I really can't stand it anymore." Because Gu Jingzi couldn't touch women, he didn't bring any women with him. Gu Jingzi looked at him helplessly. "Let's go." "That's great. You can go and have a look. Tell me if you're interested. The women here are definitely more powerful than the one before." Gu Jingzi looked at the time. Even if he rushed back now, he was afraid that he would miss Chinese Valentine's Day. He couldn't help but feel a little apologetic and annoyed. However, he was used to hiding his emotions, so his face didn't show any abnormalities. When they arrived, it was an amusement park built on the bottom of the sea. From below, they could see the creatures swimming in the sea outside. The clear and transparent sea creatures made them feel as if they were in the underwater world. The cost of construction here was extremely high, and there were many beautiful women. There were all kinds of unique attractions. When the third prince came in, he was like a butterfly, drooling as he looked at the beautiful women. "Wow, look, the beautiful women here are from all over the world. Ah, I've been especially fond of the cultural traditions of Sea Country recently. Look, I've specially asked someone to make this place unique to Sea Country." They entered a private room. It was really antique, and it looked very retro. It must have taken a lot of effort to make it. Chapter 13:11. The third prince laughed. "Look, what do you think? It's not bad, right?" "It's not bad. Sit down. Look, the girls here are not bad. If you like them, you can bring them back later." "No need." "Hey, how do you know you don't like them when you haven't seen them? I bet you like some of them." The third prince said as he found a comfortable position to lean down. He stretched out his hand and clapped twice. An extremely seductive beauty came in with a tray. The high-quality osmanthus wine was placed there. It had been warmed just right. At this time, the water outside was still emitting a little heat. Gu Jingzi picked it up and drank a little before putting it aside. The third prince knew how to enjoy himself. He leaned back and said, "Do you think the ancient nobles were like this?" Gu Jingzi glanced at him. "No, you know how to enjoy yourself more than they do." "Of course. I'm so tired every day. I have to go on TV to hype myself up when I have nothing to do. If I don't enjoy myself, what's the fun in life?" "Ah, you have nothing better to do. Who asked the men of the Gu family to be so competitive? Otherwise, with your family's money, you would be living a better life than I should. Look at you. Instead of enjoying life, you have to go out to work every day. You make yourself so tired." Gu Jingzi nodded. "Yes, you reap what you sow." He would not explain himself. Actually, everyone had the freedom to choose their own way of life. He liked this way of life, but he liked the other way. There was no way to explain it. Just then, the beauties who came and showed their skills one by one. He clapped his hands, and a few women walked in. Their steps were graceful, and they carried a fragrance. The fragrance did not make people feel disgusted at all. It seemed that they had good taste. The women were of different shapes and sizes. They wore simple white dresses and looked like ancient fairies, ethereal and delicate. Gu Jingzi was expressionless. He only glanced at them before picking up the osmanthus wine again to drink. The third prince said, "Come, choose one." Gu Jingzi looked at the women. Although they all had different expressions, he was not interested in them. He raised his eyebrows. "None of them are as beautiful as my wife." The third prince said, "Huh, how beautiful can your wife be? I don't believe that I didn't carefully choose these women. They are definitely outstanding beauties. You're short-sighted, so I won't say anything." "You." The third prince wasn't angry. He just looked at him with a smile. The two of them were quite familiar with each other, so they spoke more casually. The third prince said, good, good. In that case, the next batch. What came in next was another kind of style. A few women who seemed to be beauties of the Tang dynasty wore exquisite makeup and bright clothes. It was as if the prosperity was written on their clothes, which made people's eyes light up. The third prince said, and this time, Gu Jingze still shook his head. The third prince slammed the table. If you don't choose one next time, I'm going to fall out with you. Gu Jingze said, feel free to flip through it. He calmly picked up his glass and drank. The third prince clapped his hands and continued to let people in. The ones who came in wore a thin veil, and their faces couldn't be seen. It was like looking at flowers in the fog. Only their eyes could be seen. Their bodies were immediately wrapped in a graceful veil. They looked like beauties who came out of the fog. They had the uprightness of a lotus and the gentleness of a raindrop. Walking in, one would feel a refreshing feeling that made one's body and mind happy. The third prince said, look, these are not bad, right? I feel that the culture of country C has a kind of hazy beauty. It's really beautiful. Isn't this kind of beauty? Yes. Although they couldn't see their faces clearly, these beauties were enough to move the hearts of ordinary people. However, Gu Jingze still didn't say a word. He glanced at them and continued to shake his head. Forget it. You can enjoy them yourself. I can't enjoy them. Hey, don't be such a killjoy. Since you're here, you can give it a try. There's no need for that. You can do it yourself. Don't worry about me. That won't do. I've already said that I'll give you one, so I'll give you one. Come, the one in the middle, you serve her, Mr. Gu. If you serve him well, and he brings you back, you'll be rich for the rest of your life. You'll get whatever you want. The beauty walked over slowly. Gu Jingze frowned and said, go away. The third prince immediately said, don't worry. I've already said that I prepare the medicine for you. You can rest assured and take her. I've already said that it's not about the medicine. It's just that I won't do anything to betray my wife. Your wife doesn't know. But I know. How can I bear it? She's just your wife. What's there to bear? I don't have any feelings for women other than her. I only hate them. I'll give you face and let you take her away. Otherwise, if she takes another step forward and I do anything, I'm afraid it'll hurt our relationship. I bet you won't. I'm being serious, Gu Jingze said confidently. The third prince said you could try. If you really hurt her, I'll take responsibility. But if you don't, you'll lose today. If you lose, I'll ask for a reward. Gu Jingze frowned again. The third prince patted his chest and said, this beauty is stunning. You can try if you don't believe me. Stunning? I don't need it. You'll know that I'm not lying if you try. Go. The beauty continued to approach. Gu Jingze said, if you come any closer, don't blame me for being rude. However, the beauty was still approaching him. Gu Jingze leaned back a little and looked up at her with a warning look. But the beauty suddenly leaped and pounced on him. Gu Jingze was caught off guard. He was about to dodge when he felt the woman's arm encircling him. Just as he was about to grab her wrist, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. This wrist, this body, Lin Che. He called out first. Then, he took a closer look. It was Lin Che. Although it was still a smoke-like thing, this figure, this smell, this weight, that he pulled her arm away and tore the veil off her face. For a moment, a jade-like, translucent face appeared in front of him against the misty clothes. She blinked her black eyes and looked at him. Her gaze flickered like the stars in the sky, trembling. It made one's mind tremble. She was really too beautiful, more beautiful than any of the natural world's exquisite carvings. Chapter 13:12. Gu Jingze's heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't help but smile. It was a different smile from before. It was relaxed, and he looked very happy. It was the first time that third prince had seen him smile like this. He tactfully waved his hand, and everyone quickly dispersed. Only Lin Che and Gu Jingze were left in the room. Gu Jingze held Lin Che in his arms and looked up at her. She was already straddling him, her legs around his waist, and her hands were caressing his cheeks. She smiled at him, and when she saw the surprise in his eyes, her smile bloomed even brighter. She was like a daffodil in the mist, so beautiful that it was suffocating. He clenched his fists even tighter as he looked at her. Are you trying to kill me? Lin Che smiled brightly. Didn't you say that you don't like me? Gu Jingze paused. He didn't know it was her just now. So this little girl liked to play this kind of trick. He moved closer to her body, and he could feel that her body was very obvious under the chiffon. She was probably not wearing anything underneath. His gaze deepened. He said cooperatively, I didn't see clearly just now, and thought that third prince was lying to me. I didn't expect that there would be such a beautiful woman in this world. I can't help myself. How much for one night? She raised her head proudly. Humph. It depends on your ability. If it's not good, I'm priceless, but if it's good, I'm willing to do it for free. His ability that he pressed against her body. Don't you know how good I am? You're so annoying. I just met you, so of course I don't know. She flipped her hair proudly. Great, this little girl. Was she addicted to playing with him? He flipped the man over first. This was a wooden chair, but the cushion on it was very comfortable. It didn't feel hard at all when she leaned against it. She was flipped over, and she watched as he looked at her from above. His gaze was so hot that it seemed as if it was going to burn her clothes. Do my clothes look good? She didn't know what to say, so she asked shyly. Yes, they look good, he said with a smile. But you look even better when you're not wearing anything. Duh. He moved her clothes aside a little, and sure enough, she wasn't wearing anything underneath. His hand gripped her arm tightly. Then what do we do now? He could no longer control the heat in his body. So domineering and unreasonable. It was hard to resist. Lin Che really felt that he was using all his passion to burn her up. The result of enthusiasm was that his whole body ached. She leaned back and complained, Oh, you're so cruel. Gu Jingze was a little annoyed when he saw this. Who told you to wear that? He frowned. How could he remain calm? He had long lost his mind at that moment. I tried my best to be careful, but I couldn't help it. She leaned back. He had already washed up. The facilities here were very comprehensive. There was a bathtub at the back. It was also an antique wooden bathtub with colorful flower petals in it. At this moment, smoke lingered in the air. He sat in it, glowing pink. It made his originally honey-colored skin look a little happy after release. He was relaxed, but not relaxed. Hearing Lin Che's complaint, he stood up in the bathtub. With a splash, the flower petals splashed along with the water. She looked at the flower petals on his skin. He was as beautiful as a god. With a strong masculine scent, he walked a little closer. Warmth flowed in the air, and his hormones flowed along with it. He scooped her up in his arms. She gasped in surprise. He said, How is it? Does it hurt? She shook her head. It's okay. Are you still going to pretend in front of me? He frowned, carried her to the side of the bathtub, and carefully placed her in the water. She let out a hiss. He looked at her and felt that it wasn't good for her to sit down. The bathtub was too deep. He was worried that it would be uncomfortable after entering, so he sat down at the bottom and let her sit on him. Yeah, it was very comfortable. Very comfortable. She leaned against him, sighed, and narrowed her eyes. But gradually, she felt that she naturally knew what it was, but she was a little surprised. She lifted her head and looked at him shyly. What are you doing? She still dared to ask him what he was doing. Wasn't she the one who leaned on him just now? Who asked you to be so naughty? He lowered his head again and bit her little lips in the water. After a long time, he finally let go of her. Her eyes seemed to be shrouded in mist. Let go of me. Oh, it's so hot. I can't take it anymore. I want to go out. Gu Jingze harumphed. This is your punishment. Now you know that you can't take it anymore. Why didn't you know that you would end up like this when you sneaked in? Gu Jingze pressed his forehead against hers. Aren't you here to pack you up and give you to me? Her face became even redder. He said, It's just a more thorough gift now, huh? Lin Che said, Then do you like it? His gaze deepened. He circled his body around her and pressed his forehead against hers, getting even closer to the deepest part of her eyes. I like it. She liked it very much. Her heart was instantly satisfied. It was filled to the brim. But, he said again, Qin Hao will have to give me a good explanation later. Obviously, Qin Hao would know about this. It was impossible that he wasn't involved. Gu Jingze guessed it immediately. Chapter 13:13. Lin Che hurriedly said, Qin Hao is only helping me. Don't make things difficult for him. She remembered that she had promised Qin Hao that she wouldn't do anything to him, so she hurriedly said something nice. Also, we did it to surprise you. Gu Jingze shook his head and looked at Lin Che. Did this guy know what the people he was commanding were for? These people were supposed to be infinitely loyal only to him, and absolutely not allowed to listen to anyone else's orders. But now, one by one, they had all become traitors. If she had been in the Gu family in the past, she would have been punished by the family law. But because it was to her, so be it. It seemed that he had treated Lin Che too well in the past, causing them to become loyal to Lin Che as well. They no longer had any scruples. Perhaps even they knew that this little woman made him feel helpless. No matter what she did, he would be infinitely tolerant. After putting on their clothes, the two stood there and looked at the underwater world outside. The seabed here was extremely clear. It was probably because the windows were specially treated that the water was not blurry at all. Lin Che leaned against the wall and said, "The environment here is really not bad. It's really a place for men to have fun." "Really?" Gu Jingze laughed. "What's wrong with having fun? What a waste. Such a beautiful view. You're here to buy sex. Aren't you the one? I'll only sell it to you." Gu Jingze even picked her up. "It's okay here. They won't go overboard. After all, the people who come here are all people of status. Normal people probably won't be able to come here." "Really? I think Haman will choose this place." "Yeah. Haman is a member of the royal family, so this place must be of a higher class. Look at these pear trees. They were all transported from country C. They must have spent quite a lot of money on them. Even a small coffee table can be sold for a high price in China, let alone so many of them. All the decorations are made from pear trees. Ah, so expensive. This stupid thing. Some rich people like this kind of stuff. All right, let's go." They couldn't stay here all the time. There were so many people outside. It felt weird. The two of them walked out. When they reached the door, they forgot that she was still wearing the clothes here. One of the rich people who came to have fun saw Lin Che. She took off her mask, and under the veil, she looked even more fairy-like. Someone couldn't help but ask, "That one, we also want that one." "Yeah. Can't she come with us? You can pay as much as you want. Our tips are very high." Gu Jingze's face darkened. Lin Che immediately had a bad feeling. Gu Jingze pulled her in and cursed in his heart. Damn it. He had forgotten that she was wearing such a seductive dress. She actually let people see such an alluring side of her. No, he didn't want anyone to see it. He only wanted it for himself. He picked up the phone to the outside. "Send a set of clothes to Madam." "Yes, sir." Lin Che lowered his head, not daring to say anything. Knowing that Gu Jingze was pulling a long face, she looked even more pitiful. Gu Jingze pinched her arm and pushed her against the wall. He looked at her and said, "I'll make sure you don't dress like this again." Aye. He liked a lot before. Then he whispered in her ear, "Next time, you can only dress me at home." After a while, the servants brought her a normal set of clothes, and she walked out with Gu Jingze. Third Prince had already asked someone to send them back, and he went to have fun. When Qin Hao saw them coming out, he immediately asked someone to prepare the car. Behind them, there were people nodding and bowing, very attentive. From time to time, they would look at Lin Che, trying to get some information about Gu Jingze, but they didn't dare to look at him. Gu Jingze helped Lin Che into the car, and Qin Hao was also waiting by the side. Gu Jingze held the car door with one hand and was about to get in, but he thought of something and stopped. "Come to my study in a while." Qin Hao's face fell. Lin Che hurriedly covered his face, not daring to look at Qin Hao. Sob. Qin Hao stood there, watching the car drive away, and wanted to cry, but had no tears. "Madam, you said you would help me." Lin Che also wanted to help, but she didn't dare to provoke Gu Jingze when she saw his dark face. Since Lin Che had come to Dubai, Gu Jingze wasn't in a hurry to go back. It was still Chinese Valentine's Day. Gu Jingze looked at the time and prepared to take Lin Che to buy a gift the next morning. Dean is a paradise for shopping because the luxury goods here are really amazing. From the road, he saw so many luxuries in this country. Lin Che looked at them curiously and said as they walked, "They are so good at it." There is also an indoor ski resort over there. You can go and take a look if you're interested. Gu Jingze looked at the information on the tablet and said, looking up, "Indoor ski resort? In such a hot tropical area? Building an indoor ski resort." Gu Jingze nodded. "The snow is all from the Alps, and it is definitely different from artificial snow." "So, luxurious." Lin Che said, No, I want to see snow and be city. I don't need to be so extravagant. Coming to the tropics to ski in the snow of the Alps. Was she crazy? Why didn't she just go to the Alps? It feels like it's unnecessary, Lin Che said. Gu Jingze understood what she was talking about. Probably because she is too rich and has nothing to do. She likes to do unnecessary things. Lin Che looked at him. "Where are we going now?" Gu Jingze said, "To buy you a gift." "I don't need it. A gift is nothing." Gu Jingze looked up lightly and said lightly, "Then, should I give you a gift when we go back tonight?" "Then you should buy me a present." Give her a gift? He was so crazy yesterday. Was he trying to find an excuse to be crazy today? Was it her or him who was the gift? No matter how she looked at it, she felt that he had taken advantage of her. She didn't want it. Gu Jingze narrowed his eyes and came over. "Why? Do you dislike me?" "Oh, no. I can have you every day. How is this a gift?" Gu Jingze said, "Then I will think of a new position for you as a gift." "No." Lin Che looked at the driver in front of him gloomily. He really admired these drivers. How did they train their faces to be as cold as ice? They didn't react at all to his shameless words. Gu Jingze was just teasing her on purpose. Seeing her blush, he smiled and said to the driver, "Go to the front." "Yes, sir." When they arrived at the mall, Lin Che decided to vent her anger by shopping. Indeed, there were a lot of things inside. There were bags, clothes, jewelry, shoes. Chapter 13-14. Women couldn't help but feel happy when they saw these things. They went over and bought some. There was a shop inside, and the shop manager was promoting. "You can only buy one person in your lifetime. It will be recorded here. You can only buy one person in your lifetime. Give it to the woman you love." Seeing that Lin Che was shopping with Gu Jingze, she said enthusiastically, "Hey, handsome man, aren't you going to buy one for your beautiful girl?" Gu Jingze glanced at it. The slogan was well written. "Only buy one person in your lifetime." "That's right. We have a record here. I'll give you one, and I won't sell it to you anymore." Lin Che saw this and quickly pulled Gu Jingze. "Silly, this isn't good." Gu Jingze said, "Why? There are advertisements in this country too. They're actually not good." Gu Jingze took a look. "It's okay." "What's okay?" "The item isn't important. What's important is me. I want to give you the only one." Lin Che blushed. His heart was filled with sweetness too. Gu Jingze said, "I'll buy one for you." Okay. The two of them walked into the shop. To Gu Jingze, this was a very cheap price. As Lin Che was choosing, the people at the side were still praising her. They said, "Look at your boyfriend. He really didn't hesitate to buy this for you. After giving it to you, there will be no one else. This is a promise for a lifetime." Lin Che didn't care about the shop assistant and chose one for himself. "Does it look good?" It wasn't a very big diamond, and the quality didn't seem to be very good. In the Gu family, there were many diamonds that were much better than this, but she was still very happy with it. Gu Jingze said, "Yeah, it looks good." Some things didn't matter how much they cost, but whether they liked it or not. And Lin Che felt that she liked whatever he gave her. She happily took out her money. At the side, other couples also came to buy it. When they saw the one on Lin Che's hand, they immediately wanted it. Because Lin Che's fingers were slender and white like jade, the diamond shone brightly on them. It looked good to anyone. The girl also said that she wanted the same style. However, the shop assistant said apologetically, "This is the only one. We have others that are even prettier." The girl felt disappointed. She looked over and complained to her boyfriend, I want that. However, the man glanced at Lin Che and Gu Jingze and immediately pulled his girlfriend away. The girl was even more unhappy. "Are you going to buy it for me or not?" "Fool, don't you see who they are? Don't rob them. There are plenty of diamond rings here." "What kind of person? They're just buying it for fun. The bracelet on that girl's hand could buy the whole shop, and you're still fighting with her for a ring." The girl looked at him indignantly and said, "Seriously, you're so rich, and yet you're here to snatch a good-looking ring. Let's go." Lin Che looked at the ring and said to Gu Jingze, "You've bought me a present. Let's go." "All right, there will be a welcoming banquet at the palace tonight. We can go together." The palace. I've never seen the royal family before. Actually, it's about the same as us. There aren't many rules. You can rest assured and just follow behind me. Moreover, you've met Haman before. The people from the royal family are quite amiable. Since Gu Jingze was here, they could go anywhere. Gu Jingze brought Lin Che to the palace that night. Seeing a corner of the palace from afar, Lin Che said, "This place doesn't look as big as the palace in Country C. In the past, the mansions of the ancient nobles in Country C were much bigger. They could even get lost in the back garden." Gu Jingze said, "After all, Country C is a vast land with abundant resources. This place is lacking." "Yeah, but why does it look so shiny?" "They like gold. Many things are made of pure gold. Some things can't be made of pure gold or are not needed, but they will be gilded." After all, they were rich and willful. When they entered, they saw that it was true. In the extremely luxurious inner courtyard, they could see the light blue reflection of the open-air swimming pool at the back. Lin Che followed them into the door. The music started and the golden furniture was illuminated by the light, looking very splendid. A servant dressed in Arab clothes came to help take away the shawl. Haman walked out. "Hey, beautiful madam, was it you who made our desireless Gu fight 300 rounds in there yesterday?" Lin Che had been conversing in English the whole time, so he blushed and said, "You heard wrong. How is that possible? I heard it clearly. How long did you go in before coming out?" "You too." Gu Jingze said, "Why? Can't you reach this level? I thought normal men would be like this." With one sentence, he killed them in an instant. Haman called out, "Gu." Gu Jingze said, "I still remember that you colluded with my people to lie to me yesterday. Hey, your people said that your wife wants to give you a surprise. I'm just helping you, okay?" "Really?" Gu Jingze raised his eyebrows. "Okay, I just wanted to tease you." It was fun to see Gu Jingze, who had such a high IQ, being fooled by his wife. In the past, she wouldn't have had such a chance. First of all, she was probably the only one who dared to lie to Gu Jingze. So when he heard about it, he immediately agreed and even contributed money and effort to help. That was because he really felt that this was a 1-in-a-million chance. Gu Jingze patted him on the shoulder meaningfully. "But your wife is indeed very beautiful," he praised from the bottom of his heart. Gu Jingze didn't appreciate it. He pulled Lin Che into his arms and said, "No matter how beautiful she is, she's not for you to see." Haman called out, "I've never seen anyone as jealous as you." At this moment, the other royal family members also saw Gu Jingze. From afar, they saw Gu Jingze walking in with a beauty by his side. Haman said, "Big brother is here today too. Let's go and say hello." The eldest prince was the most likely successor to the throne. However, the old king didn't need a successor yet. He was strong and looked like he could live for another 10 or 20 years. The 35-year-old eldest prince was at the peak of his life. He had a little beard and looked very domineering. When he looked at people, there was a sense of disdain. After all, they were indeed the richest royal family in the world. Compared to other countries, which had a constitutional monarchy or a royal family that relied on taxes from the people, they were much more independent. After all, other than taxes, the royal family itself controlled many oil fields and other industries, which were enough to support their luxurious lives. Oh, that's Gu. Why did he come to Dubai quietly this time? Chapter 13-15. Isn't it because the Gu family has already kicked him out? He's no longer the head of the family, so he's not as arrogant anymore. Prince Syed harumphed. "Don't talk nonsense." Princess Marcia reminded him. "This man is unpredictable. Be careful not to offend him." "Mother, you've been too careful all your life. Being careful is the most important thing. Otherwise, how can you keep your position as the crown prince?" Syed did not think much of it. He looked at Gu Jingze and squinted his eyes. However, he noticed the beauty beside him. Her figure was different from the other women. She was slim, but not weak. She had a pair of big, black eyes that were full of vigor. They reminded him of a gloomy black pearl. She had a charming and mysterious aura. "Who is this woman?" Syed asked the servant beside him. "I heard that she's Mr. Gu's beloved wife. He left the Gu family and fell out with all his relatives because of her." Syed was even more surprised. He took a deep look at the woman. It was not worth it, but in their eyes, it was not worth it to lose the throne for a woman. "Hey, Gu." Syed walked over. Lin Shay turned around with Gu Jingza. Gu Jingza said, "Prince Syed, it's been a while." "Yeah, it's been a while. Let's go. There are too many people here. Let's go to the garden behind." "Sure." Gu Jingza pulled Lin Shay up. They held hands intimately as they walked toward the garden step by step. More and more people were coming. It seemed like there were quite a lot of women, but they did not mingle with the men. They sat at the back with scarves around their necks, so their faces could not be seen clearly. Lin Shay was still looking at the beautiful fountains at the back of the garden, but suddenly he felt a yellow thing rushing in front of him. Lin Shay was startled. While he was still in a daze, Gu Jingza had already moved in front of Lin Shay. He was surprised. Only then did Lin Shay see that the thing that had just rushed over was none other than a colorful lion. The male lion looked very huge. When it flashed over, everyone was stunned for a moment. It was his first time seeing a lion at such a close distance. "Oh, or say." Syed looked at the outsiders disdainfully. He smiled and waved his hand, calling the lion over. When he turned around, his smile was indifferent. It was obvious that he looked down on the outsiders. "I'm sorry. The servants must have let him out. But all his teeth have been pulled out, so he's not aggressive. He's been raised at home, and he's still young, only 2 years old." It was true that the people here knew how to rear lions. Lin Shay watched as he stroked the lion's fur. When he looked at her, he raised his eyebrows and seemed very pleased. Lin Shay snorted. He stared at Lin Shay. "You're not scared, are you?" Lin Shay said, "It's just a beast. It doesn't have much intelligence. What's more frightening is the human heart. The human heart has already experienced so much. Why would it be afraid of a simple beast?" "Oh, yes," he said, beckoning. "Then you can come and see and feel or say." Gu Jingza looked at Lin Shay. Lin Shay was really not afraid. With so many people here, even if the lion wanted to attack, someone would definitely be able to kill it with a single shot. Moreover, the key point was that since he had asked her to touch it, he must be prepared. Otherwise, if something really happened to him, how could he explain himself? She took a step forward. Syed looked at her and smiled. Lin Shay reached out her hand to touch it without fear. "Be a good boy. Don't be so naughty next time. You'll scare people if you suddenly come out. It's because you're so big, right?" She stroked the lion's fur. The lion was indeed very obedient. It looked at her like a big cat, rubbing against her hand, smelling it, and licking it. Lin Shay was tickled by the licking. She giggled. Syed looked at her, and his smile deepened. Gu Jingza had already walked behind her. "All right, stop playing. I'll bring you one next time if you like it." Lin Shay shook her head. "Forget it. It's meaningless. A lion is only a lion in the wild. It's no different from a cat in the yard." Syed's eyes flickered. Was she mocking him? This woman must have no other identity other than being Gu Jingza's woman. How dare she mock him? Gu Jingza pursed his lips and said to Lin Shay, "Forget it then. Moreover, we still have the prince. The prince will be angry if we bring something else back." Lin Shay leaned against him, intimately and calmly. Syed was a little surprised by the simple action. His wives would never act so coquettishly. It seemed that Gu Jingza really doted on her. Syed said, "It's rare for you to come, but you didn't even stay for a few days this time. Haman received you first and didn't even tell me. This won't do. You must come to my house tomorrow. That's too much of a hassle. If you don't go, you're not giving me face." "What? Haman can receive you, but I can't." Gu Jingza looked at him. He looked back at Gu Jingza. After a while, Gu Jingza nodded. "All right, since you said so, I really cannot go." Only then did Syed smile. He looked at Lin Shay and said, "Then I'll see you tomorrow." Lin Shay frowned. She was disgusted by his arrogant gaze. This prince was not as likable as Haman. When they went back, it was obvious that Gu Jingza had the same thoughts as her. He didn't like Syed. He went out to greet Haman and told him about his appointment with Syed. Haman said, Is the prince trying to show off to me? Why? Can't he be on good terms with me? Gu Jingzi said, we'll see tomorrow. I'll go back and make some preparations. All right, don't worry. He won't be able to do anything in the palace. Lin Che followed Gu Jingzi out. She said, why? Is Haman not on good terms with Syed? Syed's mother is the princess, but Haman doesn't even know who his mother is. What do you mean by don't know? The men here can marry 4 wives, so the king has 4 concubines. However, apart from the concubines, there are many concubines and some women he befriends outside. After giving birth to a child, he chases them away and keeps the child. When he was born, he handed the child to the 3rd princess to raise. He doesn't even know who his biological mother is. It's just that the princess's family background is too good, and they don't care about this kind of relationship. Therefore, they are blessed to be together, and the princess has given birth to 5 children. Lin Che was still very surprised. She couldn't get used to it. This was the first time she knew that the royal family here was like this. Chapter 13:16. The next day, Lin Che and Gu Jingzi went to Syed's place. The place was slightly smaller than the palace, but it was still spacious. It was as luxurious as the palace. It was obvious that the royals liked to enjoy themselves. After entering the house, Syed asked someone to drive the family's tour bus and drove Gu Jingzi and Lin Che to the back. Look at the pets I've been keeping recently. They entered the house and saw 2 majestic white tigers in a room. There were also a few crocodiles swimming in the water. 2 peacocks were spreading their wings in the distance. The lion from yesterday was still lying in the room, basking in the sun. Syed said, that's Ali. Ali just gave birth to a litter of cubs. Do you want to take a look? Lin Che was very interested. Cubs? That's right. Lin Che immediately followed them. When she saw the cubs, she was instantly stunned by how cute they were. They were too cute. They were like kittens, but they were different. They were so meaty and looked like balls of meat. Oh, they're so cute. She walked over and asked the servant beside her, can I hug them? The servant smiled warmly. Of course, madam. Please be careful. Although they're just born, their teeth are still very sharp. That's great. Hee, they're so cute. She hugged the meatball and played with it in her arms. She never thought that she would be able to hug a tiger one day. After playing with them for a while, the 2 men looked at each other. Gu Jingzi looked at her gently. It was a peaceful feeling that made people feel good. As for Syed, he felt a great sense of satisfaction as he looked at her. His vanity was bursting. It had been a long time since he had such a feeling. It was probably because the girl's face was really happy, which made him feel as if he had done something great, which made him very happy. He walked over. If you like them, you can bring one back. The servant looked at her master in surprise. This was a very, very precious thing. Lin Che raised his head. Forget it. Although they are very cute, I still think that they should belong to nature. I don't want to keep wild animals in captivity. I'll just look at them. When the servant at the side heard this, she explained, Madam, it's really rare for the eldest prince to give it to you. You can consider it. There aren't many of these tigers left in the world. In order to let Ali give birth, we spent a few years to find a suitable tiger to breed and breed. Lin Che sighed. How extravagant. TSK, rich and willful. She shook her head. Since they're so precious, all the more I can't take them. It would be a waste to leave them with me. I don't have any appreciation skills. I only see them as cute animals. I won't even think that they're expensive. It's better to keep them here. Gu Jingzi came over too. He looked at Syed and said, we appreciate the elder prince's kindness, but it seems like my wife doesn't like it. She only likes small animals. She might not be able to control them when they grow up. Syed raised his eyebrows. All right, if that's the case, let's go eat first. Syed looked at Gu Jingzi and said, I heard that you're no longer the master of the Gu family. That's right, Gu Jingzi said honestly. Syed said, I'm really surprised that you're willing to give up your position as the master of the Gu family. It's nothing. It's just a responsibility. I'm happy to be able to take it off my shoulders. But you have to know how much money, how much capital, and how much power you have to give up. It's good if I can use the power, but if I can't, it'll just be a sharp knife disappointed at myself. I feel relaxed now. Syed humphed. All right, I'm surprised that you're so easily satisfied. I always thought that you were an ambitious man, but since you've given up your position as the master of the Gu family, I can say that I'm richer than you now. Ha ha. Gu Jingza smiled, but did not say anything. Syed said, I can be arrogant in front of you from now on, but you'll have to be wary of me. Gu Jingza was still looking at him. His eyes were so profound that it was impossible to tell what he was thinking. Syed looked at Lin Che, who was behind him. What about you? How do you feel about your husband giving up so much wealth? Lin Che said, Oh, I don't feel anything. My husband doesn't need wealth to increase his charm. Syed's eyes flickered. Gu Jingza turned around to look at her and held her hand. The two of them smiled at each other, as if they had a tacit understanding. At that moment, a few ladies walked over gracefully from behind. Looking at their appearances, they were all pretty good. When they saw them, they greeted them with a smile and bowed. Honorable guests. Syed looked at them and said to Lin Che and Gu Jingza, They're my wives. The three wives brought a few children with them. It seemed like they were Syed's children. Lin Che also bowed his head and saluted. The women looked at Lin Che and noticed that Lin Che and Gu Jingza were holding hands. She looked at him in surprise, but Gu Jingza held her in his arms without hesitation. This time, the princesses were even more surprised and stared at Lin Che. Syed said, All right, let's go. The dining room is ready. The wives sat at the side tables while Lin Che and the others sat at the main table. Lin Che looked at the wives and felt that their status in the family was really that they were not even as high as the children. Syed was used to it. He sat there and said to Lin Che, Try our food. Thank you. She looked at the food. She was unfamiliar with it and didn't know how to eat it. She looked up. How do you eat this? Gu Jingza said, I'll make it for you. He peeled the food and said to her, Open your mouth. Lin Che opened her mouth automatically. Gu Jingza put the food into her mouth. She ate it peacefully and nodded. It tastes good. On the other side, the women watched as Gu Jingza started to serve her food. They were even more astonished. Syed squinted his eyes and looked back at his wives. He snorted and glared at them. They didn't dare to look at him anymore and lowered their heads to eat. Syed said, I didn't know that you doted on your wife so much, Gu. It seemed that the rumors were true. Did Gu Jingza really fall out with the Gu family because of this woman? That would be too careless. Gu Jingza said, Wives are meant to be doted on. Ha ha, lovers are meant to be doted on. His wife was meant to give birth to his children. Lin Che said, Then why did you get married? Chapter 13:17. There are many reasons, of course, he said. Lin Che shook his head. We get married because we want to live together for the rest of our lives. Any other reasons will only give us reasons to regret in the future, because living together for the rest of our lives is the truth. Syed smiled. That's for you. I don't care. Anyway, if I don't want to live together for the rest of my life, there are many other women out there. Lin Che sighed. But every woman ends up the same. You're reincarnating back and forth. You're doing the same thing every day. What's the point of doing the same thing with different women? It's better to do different things with the same woman. That way, it'll count as doing a lot of things in this life. Syed was speechless for a moment. After a while, he said, All right. Let's see. The rules here are different from yours. But at that moment, suddenly, a white tiger dashed into the room. Alai, what's wrong? The helper outside screamed as the tiger charged straight at Syed. The women at the back all retreated, screaming and scattering. Syed stood there with his eyes wide open. He forgot to move at that moment. These ferocious beasts of his had never done anything bad to him, not to mention going berserk like this. He was so surprised that he was dumbfounded. Then, Lin Che suddenly remembered that she was carrying a gun. All of a sudden, she picked up her gun, aimed it at the tiger, and shot it with a bang. Although she did not practice shooting, Gu Jingza had prepared a small gun for her. It was very small and had a strong recoil. It was the kind of gun that she could hit without aiming in an emergency. Who would have thought that the first time he used it, it would be on this? After the gun was fired, the The tiger howled and fell to the ground beside Sayed's feet. Sayed was even more dumbfounded. The servants around him had already picked up their guns, but it was too late. They had already raised their guns, but it was too late. Luckily, Lin Che fired in time. Otherwise, Sayed would have fallen to the ground. Tigers would usually bite their prey's neck. A human's neck was very fragile. Sayed was probably dead. All the women folk screamed in fright when they saw this scene. Lin Che panted and didn't react for a moment. It wasn't until Gu Jingze slowly hugged her from behind that she turned around and threw herself into Gu Jingze's embrace. Sayed finally realized what was going on. He yelled angrily, "What's wrong with you guys?" They immediately reacted and knelt on the ground. Eldest Prince, she probably hasn't seen her child for too long. She smelled the scent of a cub and rushed over. Sayed harumphed and waved his hand. "Get out, all of you." He looked at the tiger on the ground. His voice was trembling. It was a pity, but he also felt angry. Especially in front of Gu Jingze and Lin Che. He felt like he had been slapped in the face. "Take this beast away as well." Lin Che looked at him without saying a word. Gu Jingze said, "Well, it's fine now. Although you raised it, it's still wild." His words gave Sayed a way out. Sayed relaxed a little. He glanced at the women behind him who were terrified. "Get out of here, all of you." At this moment, Lin Che's expression was the calmest of them all. Compared to the women who were already scared out of their wits, she stood there calmly and watched the people clean up the mess. Naturally, Lin Che was not someone who had never experienced such things. She had experienced all kinds of things over the years. She was no longer the girl who had never seen the outside world. Therefore, she didn't feel anything because of the accident. Sayed took a deep look at Lin Che and chased everyone away before saying, "Thank you for saving me just now." "No, I just did it subconsciously." "You're welcome. But I was indeed saved by you. How about this? I'll give you a gift to thank you." "Huh? You really don't have to." "Eldest Prince, are you saying that you don't want to owe us a favor, so you want to pay it off with money?" Gu Jingze interrupted. Sayed looked at Gu Jingze with a smile. "Haha, you're smart. But of course, I won't pay it off with money. I'll remember Madam's kindness for the rest of my life. It has nothing to do with the gift. It's just a token of my appreciation." Lin Che wanted to say something, but Gu Jingze said in a low voice, "It's a pity that you don't want it. Just accept it." Lin Che looked at him. After getting his affirmation, she turned around and said, "All right, I'll accept it." At that moment, Sayed waved his hand and someone brought something over. Lin Che took a closer look. "Fuck, that golden chair, what the hell was that?" He said, "It took my workers a lot of time to make it. I was going to give it to my father at the end of the month, but it's yours now." A golden. Cheered out, what a nouveau riche. How could he be so nouveau riche? Was the gift so direct? It was too generous. Although Lin Che's heart itched when he saw the golden chair, he wondered if she should just sit on it or give it to her father. This, it's too expensive. Lin Che stared at the chair. "It's just a token of my appreciation." He waved his hand proudly and asked his men to put it away. Lin Che looked up at Gu Jingze gloomily. "Is this very valuable?" Gu Jingze nodded. "Although it looks stupid, since it's made of pure gold. Its weight alone is enough to crush you." Yes, it was impossible to get it without tens of millions. Moreover, the craftsmanship on it was very complicated. Sayed looked at Lin Che's surprised and speechless expression. He found it even more interesting. When Lin Che and Gu Jingze left, Sayed said to Gu Jingze, "If there's a chance, I'll visit you in Sea Country." "Welcome." Sayed waited for Gu Jingze and Lin Che to leave. Then, he looked at his men and said, "It seems that Gu Jingze has really resigned from his position as the head of the family. However, he suddenly came to Dean City and was so close to Harman. Go and find out if they really have no purpose." "Then why did you let them go today?" The servants knew that many excellent weapons had been prepared outside and were waiting for the eldest prince's order. "Are you asking me about my decision?" Sayed's eyes narrowed. I don't dare." Sayed stroked his beard and smiled at the people in front of him. Chapter 13:18. He returned to the room and looked at the concubines who had come to ask about his well-being. "Eldest Prince, it was such a close call today." Get lost. Syed looked up coldly. The concubine was so frightened that she threw away her things and went back in. He snorted. You guys can't wait for me to die. If I die, your son will be the crown prince, right? At this moment, the first duchess, his mother, walked in. Why did I hear that you were almost bitten by a tiger today? Mother, it's just a beast. I've already slaughtered it. I told you not to keep these things, but you didn't believe me. He looked in front of him, holding something calmly and thinking. But that woman today is interesting. Woman? What woman are you interested in again? That woman. Gu Jingze brought her here. The first duchess was stunned. You mean? Ah, that's Gu Jingze's wife, right? He won't bring any other women with him. Only her. What are you going to do? Don't mess around. Gu Jingze dotes on her a lot. Be careful not to cause trouble. Gu Jingze? Heh, he's just a tiger with broken teeth. He's useless now. He's not the Gu family's master anymore. Do I have to be afraid of him? The first duchess stood in front of him and looked at him threateningly. Her cold face made Syed panic. Don't forget that you were almost swallowed by a tiger with its teeth broken today. Syed's face froze. Humph. The first duchess said, behave yourself. Haman is more convincing than you in the media now. It's all because you've been messing around. Haman? Syed's face froze. The thing in his hand stiffened. Lin Che watched as the chair was moved away. He heaved a sigh of relief. I didn't expect to earn such a chair after coming here. But can I meld it when I bring it back? I feel guilty if I sit on it. Since it's a gift to you, you can do whatever you want. But the craftsmanship is very valuable. This chair must have been made for a year. Are you sure you want to meld it? Lin Che looked at the ostentatious chair. He really didn't know what the first prince's brain was made of. All right, then let's move it back and worship it. Soon, he returned to his residence. Haman was already waiting for him. Seeing that Gu Jingze had returned, she walked over and asked, did he say anything? Gu Jingze nodded. Don't worry, I didn't do anything. Haman said, that's good. I was worried that he would do something bad to you. Recently, we have been quite close. Perhaps he is already on guard. The old king is still here. What's there to be anxious about? Haman said, recently, there has been a rumor that father is secretly treating his illness. Perhaps he believed it. In short, I don't believe it. The first prince is probably too impatient to become the crown prince. I feel that this is most likely a rumor spread by father to test our intentions. Gu Jingze thought for a while. Don't you have a mission to Country C soon? Yeah, I've already started preparing. I'm contacting your big brother. He should be there soon. Will you go? Maybe. It depends on father's arrangement. Okay, let me know when you arrive. I definitely will. He raised his eyebrows and looked at Gu Jingze. Then, I won't hinder you from having fun with your woman. Gu Jingze looked back at Lin Che and said, I'm going back first. Haman nudged him. Well, you have good luck with women. Good looks. And a mind. It's quite interesting. That look was still saying how interesting it was when she appeared as a seductress. Gu Jingze gave him a look and turned back to pull Lin Che up. Following Gu Jingze back to Country C, Lin Che felt a little depressed. When they reached Yin, they didn't take a good stroll. They went straight to the palace and were busy for a few days. In the company, Yu Minmin looked at her ring and said, it really doesn't match your status. Where's your wedding ring? You should wear that. Lin Che said, that's too expensive. I'm afraid of losing it. Huh, your family is still short of money. Afraid of losing it. Why don't you just be stingy to death? I'm happy. Our family is no longer the head of the family. It's not as prestigious as before. I don't think so at all. Yu Minmin leaned closer and said, do you think Gu Jingze is plotting something? I just think that a smart person like him wouldn't let the Gu family take everything away so easily without any benefits for himself. Is he planning to come back one day and beat them to a pulp? You've watched too many TV dramas. Lin Che patted her head. Hey, you're really? Yu Minmin shook her head. Isn't that the case? Lin Che ate and said, I really don't think so. I've never thought about it. I think it's pretty good now. TSK, TSK. You've been raised by your husband to be a naive and sweet girl. With your husband around, you don't think about anything, right? I don't have to think about it. Humph. Lin Che was still sighing. Going to Dian was a waste. Yu Minmin said, Don't try to show off. Go directly to the palace. That's the most luxurious place in Dean City. After going to the palace, you won't feel anything when you look at the heaven-defying buildings in Dean City. Lin Che said, "Go away. What's so fun about the palace? The richest palace in the world. Hey, if you don't believe me, you can casually ask others. Is that a place where anyone can go? They're not allowed to enter at all. How many people are envious of you for being able to enter so openly?" Lin Che said, "Their eldest prince is very abnormal, and they'll come for a visit in a while. You should be able to see them then. They're very abnormal." "Ah, they'll come for a visit. Oh, that's great. I'll ask Gu Jingming if he can get me a seat. I heard that their princes are very handsome. They're all good-looking, but they're really abnormal. You don't know, really." "Of course I don't know, because the person going there is you." Yu Minmin said, "You've seen the royal family that's so popular in the world now. That's why I say that you're still pretending to be innocent after getting such a great deal. However, Gu Jingze is also amazing. He went to Dean City to take you on a day trip. When are they coming? I really want to go and join in the fun." Lin Che said, "I don't know. Anyway, it'll be soon." Yu Minmin said, "Oh yes, I forgot to tell you. I've recently accepted a Hollywood movie for Shui Yang. There aren't many scenes, but he can try it first." "Ah, really?" Lin Che was interested and asked, "When are you going?" Chapter 1319. Yu Minmin said, "He's leaving on Wednesday." Lin Che said, "He's going to Hollywood in the United States. I wonder if he'll meet someone he wants to meet there." Yu Minmin smiled and hugged Lin Che. "Are you talking about Abai?" "Yeah." Yu Minmin said, "You're really worried about them, but this still depends on their fate. We've done everything we can. I just hope that Shui Yang can work hard when he arrives." Lin Che thought of something and asked, "How long will he be gone this time?" "It'll probably be a few months. Although he doesn't have many lines and is considered a supporting role, he still has to be filmed from the beginning to the end, so the filming will probably take a long time." Okay. Yu Minmin was planning the next TV series with Shun Yuran. Lin Che saw that Su Wan's name was among the candidates. She couldn't help but think of Gu Jingyu and Su Wan. Although Gu Jingyu didn't specifically say it, the relationship between the two was definitely not as shallow as it seemed. Lin Che took a few more glances and asked, "Did Su Wan come for the audition?" "Yeah. You still remember her?" "Of course I remember. Take a look. I think she's a good person." "Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll pay attention to her." "Don't say that. I just told you to pay attention. I didn't say you could open the back door." Yu Minmin said, "Of course I know that. I'm just saying that I believe in your judgment. You're always accurate in judging people." Lin Che said, "Isn't that because I'm lucky? However, birds of a feather flock together. I think it's because those who can hang out with us are of good character that we can get along well." Yu Minmin felt that this made sense. "Then I'll pay attention to Su Wan." Okay, Su Wan actually hadn't received the notice yet. After she came for the audition, the staff told her to go back and wait. The result of going back and waiting was that there was no result. At this time, someone came in from the dormitory. It was Wan Fong Fong. She shouted, "That's great. I succeeded in the audition at Lin Che's studio." The people in the dormitory heard this and immediately said, "Really? Congratulations, you're going to be famous." Suwon turned around and looked at her. She didn't know that her roommates also went to the audition. However, he had already received a reply, but she had not. "AI, it seems like someone from our dormitory also went for the audition." After a few people celebrated, they thought of Su Wan. Originally, the relationship between the few people in the dormitory was not particularly bad. Although they were not good friends, they still had things to talk about. But ever since Su Wan was framed by Su Zhan and went against Lin Che's advertisement, she even got on the news because of this. Everyone said that she was scheming behind her back. They weren't convinced that she got on the news so early and started bad-mouthing her behind her back. Later, Su Wan moved out and stayed at Gu Jingyu's place for a while. She really went to Lin Che's production team, and everyone started to mock her face to face. Su Wan couldn't explain that she was bullied by Su Zhan until today. Even now, there were still rumors about her everywhere. Su family's eldest miss was now like an illegitimate daughter. Her reputation was terrible, and she had no status in the Su family. But Su Zhan snatched her resources, snatched her company spokesperson, snatched her eldest Miss Identity, and snatched all her reputation. Her life in the Su family was getting better and better. All of this started from that year. That boy died because of her. That year, she was kidnapped and he went to save her. But who would have thought that in the end, she was rescued and he never came back? At that time, he was still Su Zhan's boyfriend. But only she knew that at the kidnapper's place, he personally said to her, "Su-won, the one I love is you." But I recognized the wrong person at that time, so I confessed wrongly. I didn't know how to explain it to Su Zhan and delayed it until today. When I go back, I'll tell everyone that I want to marry you. But in the end, he didn't come back. She was the only one who knew this secret. She closed her eyes, picked up her books, and went to sit down on her bunk. "Hey, I'm asking you a question. Did you also participate in the audition? How come there's no result?" Su-won said, "I'm waiting for the results." The few of them burst into laughter. "What are you waiting for? It's been so long without any results. It must be none of your business. Io, didn't you show your face last time? Why can't you do it this time? What's going on? Do you even need to ask? It must be because he didn't perform well last time. His acting skills are too bad, so he must have been despised." Su-won shook hands but did not respond. Lowering her head, she couldn't help but feel vexed. She naturally knew that there wouldn't be any results. After so long, they were right. However, he did look forward to it back then. He thought that since he had worked with them once and his performance wasn't that bad, they might be willing to continue working with him. But they didn't. She was a little disappointed. Just as she was sitting there reading, the phone finally rang. "Miss Su-won?" "Yes, I am. We are from the film crew of City Toppling Beauty. We hope that you can come over and talk to us when you have the time." Su-won's heart moved. City Toppling Beauty was Lin Che's studio's work. Su-won thought that there wouldn't be any results. The people downstairs were still chatting and didn't notice her. She quickly packed up and prepared to go. She went downstairs but saw Chun Jian walking toward her. There was a woman next to him, leaning against him. Chun Jian's expression didn't look good. He looked calm, but when he saw Su-won, his calmness turned into anger. He stared at her, seeming to be filled with resentment. Su-won wasn't happy. She thought about how they used to be good friends, but now they looked at each other with hatred. Why? It was all because of Gu Jingyu. Because of Gu Jingyu. Seeing Chun Jian walk past, she wanted to say something. However, Chun Jian's gaze was filled with disdain and disgust. He stared at her and snorted. The entire school knew that Chun Jian proposed to Su-won. But now, Chun Jian was hugging another woman and walking past. What was going on? Everyone looked at this scene and secretly guessed that the woman in Chun Jian's arms also knew about this matter. But because Chun Jian's family was indeed rich and she liked Chun Jian, she quickly got together with him. She didn't care about what happened between him and Su-won just now at all. Seeing Su-won next to him, Chun Jian's expression was filled with disgust. She leaned into Chun Jian's embrace. "Chun Jian, isn't that your friend? You didn't even greet her." "Oomph. I don't have that kind of friend. That kind of woman doesn't deserve to be my friend." "Huh? What kind of woman?" "She's not as good as you." The woman heard this and leaned into his embrace. She turned around and glanced at Su-won as if she was showing off. Chapter 13:20. But they didn't know that as soon as they left, because of that conversation, some people guessed what this kind of woman meant. Did Chun Jian sleep with her after proposing and then find out that it wasn't Su-won's first time? So he broke up in a fit of anger and went their separate ways. Then, he immediately found another woman to make up for it. This kind of rumor spread quickly. At this time, Su-won had just arrived at the crew's office. The crew said to her, "We're from Ching's director team. We just looked at your information and feel that you're not suitable to play the role of the blue butterfly that you auditioned for." Su-won's heart sank. They just called her here to talk about this problem? But below, after discussing, "We feel that you're more suitable for the role of Fence." Fence? Su-won widened her eyes. She looked at the introduction on the script. Fence was a third female lead who had a lot of scenes. Although she was only a third female lead, because she was a good friend of the female lead, there were some emotional scenes. Suwon stuttered as she looked at the person in front of her in disbelief. Me? You gave me this role? Yeah, that's right. Suwon was so excited that she couldn't believe it. However, this role did give her something. She left. Yu Minmin looked at her back as she left. She looks pretty good. She should be able to handle this role. But she's actually from Xing Hui's side. Is there a mistake? I heard that she signed a contract, but no one supported her at all. There's no difference even if she went. She didn't even get a manager. Okay, let's wait and see for now. We can also take this opportunity to slap Xing Hui's face. Yu Minmin finished speaking and left. Suwon didn't know that as soon as she returned, she heard rumors about her everywhere in the school. Hey, look, it's her. Io, so shameless. So, she's a kept woman. No wonder Chan Jian doesn't want her anymore. Suwon walked over and heard some discussions. When she looked at those disdainful gazes, her face turned pale. What exactly happened? But she didn't know that in the days she left, the rumors became more and more intense. Some people said that they asked Chun Jian. Because she was a kept woman, she was abandoned by Chun Jian. Chun Jian only said one sentence, saying that he disliked her for being dirty. He didn't say anything else. But there was no need to say anything more. All of a sudden, rumors spread everywhere. She was regarded as a dirty woman who swaggered around and was kept as a mistress. While being kept as a mistress, she also pestered Chun Jian. When Suwon heard this, she suddenly felt very sad. Chun Jian. Why did he have to do this? Even if they couldn't be friends, there was no need to act like this. Look, it's her, Chun Jian said. When Suwon heard this voice, she immediately pulled up the person next to her who wanted to speak. The man was startled. You, what are you doing? Where is Chun Jian? I don't know. You said it was Chun Jian who told you. When did Chun Jian tell you that? Where is he? Yes. At the restaurant in front. We're having a meal. Suwon knew that Chun Jian liked the restaurant in front. It was very high-end. He would occasionally take her there to eat to satisfy her cravings. Suwon went straight there. As soon as he entered the door, he went straight to the private room inside. It was his favorite private room, and he would choose it every time he came. She kicked the door open, and the waiter jumped in shock. Chun Jian was kissing that woman inside. The two of them were kissing so much that they forgot everything else. Suwon's actions scared them so much that they separated from each other, their faces pale. Chun Jian's expression changed when he saw her. He first blushed and then became embarrassed. Suwon, what are you doing here? The woman was even more furious. Suwon, don't you have any manners? Suwon couldn't be bothered to look at the woman and said to Chun Jian, I've been friends with you for so many years. I've always been grateful to you. You treat me really well and take good care of me. I also sincerely get along with you. She really didn't think that one day, she and Chun Jian would become like this. Did you forget that we were going for the college entrance exams together? Did you forget that we went out with backpacks? Did you forget that we rehearsed together and didn't eat or drink for a few days? Did you forget that we made a wish together that we would become famous in the future? How can you go around spreading rumors about me? Chun Jian's expression revealed some discomfort and guilt. But in the blink of an eye, it disappeared. He looked at Suwon resentfully. I spread rumors about you? If you don't want people to know, then don't do it. Since you've already done it, why are you worried about others finding out? Suwon pursed her lips. You don't know anything. You don't. The woman looked at Chun Jian's distressed expression. She jumped up and said, Hey, you've already sold yourself out, and you still have the nerve to come and reason with us? Who told you to sell yourself out? People say that you're shameless and could do anything for the sake of being famous. So it's true. Hearing this, Chun Jian thought about it and snorted. Seeing this, the woman said, So why do you still want to come here? Don't tell me you still want to rely on our Chun Jian? Did you come here on purpose to see Chun Jian? Did you think that Chun Jian would still want to be friends with you when you're so dirty? What else does he want to do with you? Stop daydreaming. Get out. Don't come and look for Chun Jian anymore. Don't mention how much our Chun Jian despises you. He feels disgusted just by looking at you. Chun Jian, why are you hiding at the back? Why don't you say it yourself? Tell me, what did I do to you? Why are you like this? Su-won stared at him, wanting him to give her an explanation. Chen Jian looked upset. He really didn't want to be interrogated by her anymore, because he didn't know what the answer was either. Get someone to throw Su-won out for me, he immediately ordered. The woman's eyes brightened. She couldn't wait any longer. Okay, right away. She immediately went to call security. The security guard came in. Chen Jian. Su-won was pulled out angrily. Who knew that at this time? When did you guys have the right to touch my woman? Gu Jingyu walked in. He pushed the security guard aside. Chen Jian froze. He stood up immediately. At the side, the woman was completely stunned. She looked at Gu Jingyu. She didn't think that she would suddenly see her idol here. As for Su-won, she looked up at this despicable man. He purposely appeared in front of Chen Jian and humiliated him, causing them to break up. But now, he was the one who came to help her fight for justice. What was he trying to do? What did he mean by she was his woman? She wasn't. Gu Jingyu, what are you doing here? Su-won pulled him. Gu Jingyu snorted. He frowned at the disobedient woman and pulled her behind him. Chapter 1321. Gu Jingyu's powerful figure immediately made the small private room seem even more cramped. Chen Jian gritted his teeth. Gu Jingyu, what are you doing? Gu Jingyu snorted. Did you spread the rumors in school? No. Chen Jian wanted to deny it, but he looked at Su-won on the side and then looked at the woman next to him. He suddenly changed his words and said, What's wrong? I was the one who said it. Besides, isn't what I said the truth? I'm telling the truth. Why can't I say it? Why? Gu Jingyu walked over step by step. His gaze was like a sharp knife. Once it was imprinted, it would leave a cold trail of blood. The deadly gaze made Chen Jian's expression fall to the bottom. The woman who was still arrogant just now was completely silent. She looked at Gu Jingyu with her mouth half open. So scary. Gu Jingyu said, Do I need to explain to you why? Do I need to? Though it was a question, the answer was self-evident. Why? Because he was Gu Jingyu. If he forbade it, then he forbade it, no matter if it was the truth or not. If he said he forbade it, then he couldn't say it. But Chen Jian still dared to say why. Gu Jingyu snorted and looked at Chen Jian. That's right. You're right. The rumors are also right. Su-won is my woman. So what? I said I'm not allowed to say it, so I'm not allowed to say it. It's between my woman and me. It's not up to other people to comment on it. Gu Jingyu looked at him. Are you angry because she didn't choose you? Let me ask you right here. Between you and me, who would she choose? Do you think you can compare to me? She will definitely choose me. And you're just a smelly bug. How dare you covet my woman and speak ill of my woman everywhere? Chen Jian's face felt like it was slapped hard. He looked extremely ugly right now. Gu Jingyu said, I'll give you one day to explain clearly. If I hear anything bad about you, you might not know the consequences. I don't mind letting you experience it. Gu Jingyu was too lazy to touch him and snorted. Chen Jian really wanted to give him a good scolding and give him a good punch, but damn it, he didn't dare. Gu Jingyu was backed by the Gu family, and he was the third son of the Gu family. It was a family that could shake the entire sea country. He didn't dare to doubt he really didn't know what the consequences would be if he offended someone like him. However, he was sure that he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. So how could he dare to do so? Gu Jingyu didn't say a word. He pulled Su-won up and turned to leave. Chen Jian watched as the door slammed shut. He sat there in a daze. The woman on the side was stunned for a moment, then quickly sat down. What? Was that Gu Jingyu? Gu Jingyu is Su-won's sugar daddy? Chen Jian didn't say anything. He was still standing there in a daze. No way. Why is Su-won so lucky? Good luck? Chen Jian suddenly raised his head. Get out of here! Startled by his fierce expression, the woman subconsciously stepped back a little. But why did she step back? Hey, what are you doing? Why are you venting your anger on me? Humph, if you're not convinced, then go against him. The woman suddenly stood up and walked out angrily. She suddenly felt that Chen Jian was really incompetent. But indeed, who could compare to Gu Jingyu? Any woman would choose Gu Jingyu. Unfortunately, not every woman had Su-won's luck. Seeing that she was about to leave, Chen Jian suddenly thought of something. Pretend that you didn't see anything today. He didn't want people to know that he couldn't compare to Gu Jingyu. Suwon didn't get together with him because of this. He felt embarrassed because of his selfishness. The woman turned around with a reluctant look on her face. She really wanted to tell everyone she knew about this big gossip. Chun Jian said, "You saw what Gu Jingyu said just now. If you dare to say it, he has 10,000 ways to make you die miserably. If you want to go against the Gu family, then go and say it. When the time comes, I won't be able to protect you." All of a sudden, the woman recalled Gu Jingyu's expression and her heart trembled. She was so resentful. There was such gossip, but could she only hide it in her heart? Suwon was pulled out by Gu Jingyu. She was practically being dragged. When they were outside, he let go of her and leaned against his car. He didn't care if there was anyone next to him. He casually took out a cigarette and leaned against it, taking a puff. Suwon looked at him and thought of what he said just now. She turned her face away and said with difficulty, "You, who told you to say whatever you want? I'm your woman." Gu Jingyu said, "I said it. So what? What did you do to me?" The look in his eyes clearly conveyed this sentence. Suwon blushed. She gritted her teeth, but she really didn't know what to do to him. She could only tightly purse her lips. "What can I do to you? What do you think I can do to you? That's right. You're the third master of the Gu family, the king protected by all the fans. What can I do to you?" Her voice deepened as if she was mocking herself. "I don't have anything. I'm just an orphan girl that no one wants. I have nothing. What can I do to you? Even if I refuse to be your woman, I have to look at your face." Gu Jingyu lifted his eyelids when he heard this. He threw the cigarette away and pushed her to the side of the car. He looked at her and said, "Is being my woman making things so difficult for you?" "I'm not willing." "Isn't that making things difficult for you?" "Why? I can give you whatever you want." Gu Jingyu didn't understand. Was he worse than Chun Jian? He clearly wasn't, but why wasn't she willing? "What I want is a peaceful life. Can you get it to me?" Gu Jingyu paused. There was no peaceful life in the Gu family. Plus, did she mean that she wanted him to marry her? That wasn't possible. He let go of her. Suwon smiled coldly. "Then let me go. I've already repaid what I owed you. You should let me go now, right?" Saying this, Suwon pushed him away and turned around. "Thank you for helping me just now. Although, you were the one who said it in the beginning." Her side profile was a bit sad. Although it was tough, because of him, she seemed to have gotten used to it. He had already gotten used to it. When Lin Shay returned home, he heard that Gu Jingza was still talking to Haman. Haman said that he would be coming to Country C during the visit. The entire C country was already preparing for Dean's visit. Chapter 1322. At this moment, Lin Shay was leaning against the wall and reading the script when he heard the helper say, "Madam, young master said that your relative went to the kindergarten to visit him." Lin Shay paused and put down the script in his hands. He looked ahead and thought to himself, "These people are so shameless that it makes me feel helpless." Lin Shay said, "Get someone to watch over him. I'll go over now." "Yes, madam." Sufan asked around for a long time before she found out that Lin Shay's child was in this kindergarten. She thought that since she couldn't please Lin Shay over there, she should be able to do something to the child. After all, the child was immature. If she gave him some benefits, they would say good things about them. Moreover, through the child, it would be easier to please the child's parents. Many people really doted on their children. Saying that her child was good was more effective than flattery. So, she came to the kindergarten early in the morning. Looking at the kindergarten from afar, she suddenly felt that it was different from the kindergarten at home. It was huge and looked especially spacious. It was the only one from high school, and it was a famous high school. The architecture inside was like that of a palace. This kindergarten was probably very high class. Having been in B City for some time, they had some understanding of such high-class things. Although they still sighed, they weren't so surprised. She went over, but was stopped. Looking at the security guards at the door, they looked very serious and professional. She quickly said, "My relative's child is here. He's my grandson, so I came to take a look." "Who are you going to see?" "Oh, his name is Gu Shinian." Gu Shinian, that everyone's eyes twitched involuntarily. All right, to find their young master. They didn't remember that young master had such a relative. Sufin didn't know that these people were the Gu family security guards who were sent over to take shifts. Let's go and ask. Someone went in and saw young master. They didn't need to ask the teacher. If they had anything, they would ask young master directly. This was also approved by Mr. Gu. So they didn't go to see the teacher and directly told Gu Shinian about it. Gu Shinian looked from outside and saw Sufin. He instructed in a low voice, "Tell my mother first. I'll go and see what he has to say." He thought it was quite interesting. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bothered with them. Especially since these people treated him like a child. It made him feel like he was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Several security guards listened to his instructions and immediately followed. They were now used to the young master's higher IQ than ordinary people, so they were still very obedient to his instructions. Soon they arrived outside. Sufin saw Gu Shinian in the lounge and immediately walked in with a pile of snacks. "Yin Yin, Io, Grandma is here to see you." "Oh, my grandmother isn't you," he said. Sufin smiled with wrinkles on her face. "Your grandma is my sister. When your grandma isn't around, I'm like your grandma. My grandma looks much younger than you." Sufin was immediately despised. She thought that children didn't know how to speak properly, not to mention that they were from such a rich family. They had been spoiled to the point that their words were so harsh. However, Sufin was indeed much prettier than her. The last time she saw her at home, she also saw how young she was. She really didn't know if she had transformed into a vixen. She was already so old, yet she still looked like a little girl. If not, she had money, so she took good care of herself. They didn't have money, so they had no time to take care of themselves. "Look, Grandma's brought you a lot of delicious food." Gu Shinian took a look. They were all snacks like Wong Wong, big gift bags. Ordinary children would definitely like to eat, but he wasn't an ordinary child. She glanced at him and said, "My mother said that I'm not allowed to eat snacks." "Aya, Grandma is here, and your mother can't see you. It's okay for you to eat, especially snacks from strangers." Sufin said, "How can I be a stranger? Didn't I go to your house for a meal last time?" "Oh, right. You're still loafing around in our villa." "Duh." Sufin said unhappily. "What does a child know? That's not loafing around. We're relatives. Since there's no one staying at your house, you let me stay there. Then, how much do you pay for the rent?" "The rent there is very expensive. If you stay there, we won't be able to rent it out." Sufin paused. How did this child know about rent? He must have heard it from an adult. She said, "Well, your family has a lot of money anyway. You don't care about this bit of money. A month's rent is estimated to be more than 100,000. How can I not care?" Sufin was stunned. How can it be so expensive? You can ask around. That location, that villa, not to mention the renovations, there are servants who clean it regularly. Sufin didn't know what to say. She felt strange. This child was only a few years old. How did he know so much? He looked aggressive, but there wasn't a trace of the innocence that a child should have. You're a child, you don't understand. But was that place really that expensive?" More than 100,000 was an astronomical figure to them. But now that he said that, she was even more reluctant to move out. She looked at him and said fawningly, "Our family is very poor. You can have anything you want at home. Just tell your mother to take pity on us, okay? Oh, we have another apartment. It's enough for you to stay in. You can move there." That won't do. That apartment is so small. We have so many people. The rent there is a little lower. It's only 4,000 a month. You should be able to afford it." "We still have to pay rent?" "Of course. Even blood brothers should settle accounts clearly." Sufin was furious. How could this child be so stingy? Sufin said, Then let's not talk about this for now. If we have money, of course we want to pay rent, but we don't. Why don't you tell your mother to let our Annie become a celebrity? We're all relatives. Let's earn money together. If we earn money, you guys will benefit too." Gu Shinian chuckled. "To be a celebrity, you have to see if she looks like one. That little Annie doesn't look like a celebrity. Do you think anyone can become a celebrity?" "Sigh, you child. Why are your words so unpleasant? You're even a relative. Is she telling you the truth because she's a relative? You don't want to hear lies, do you? The truth is like this. If it's a lie, I'll tell you to be one. It's a waste of time and you won't get anything. Isn't that harming you guys? You. You child. Who taught you these words? Humph. Was it your mother who taught you? Chapter 1323. Just then, Lin Che rushed over. Second aunt, why are you here? Looking at Lin Che, Sufan was a little confused. How did Lin Che know? She had come here secretly. Did the kindergarten tell Lin Che? This kindergarten was so troublesome. Lin Che had come so quickly. He was too protective of his own child. No wonder he was so spoiled. Sufan smiled and said, I know he goes to school here, so I came to take a look. This kindergarten is really big. It must be expensive to go to school here. It's okay. She smiled. Sufan said, it's good to be rich. You see, everything is good. If our child could go to such a school, I wouldn't have to worry about her now. Look, it's all because our family is too poor that our child's growth has been delayed. I had no choice but to find a way out for her, and that's why she came to be city, isn't it? Lin Che smiled. Really? Sufan said, look at how happy Nian Yin is. You have to thank your mother for being able to go to school here. Gu Shinian said, of course. It's all thanks to Mom that I can go to school here. He thought to himself that Sufan still didn't know that this kindergarten was built by their family. This place was good and expensive, but that was because their family had the resources to get any teaching equipment they wanted, and they were willing to spend money to get it. Sufan said, look, let your sister go to your... Before she could finish her sentence, Sufan's phone rang. She was still using an old-fashioned phone, but when she arrived in B City, she bought an iPhone for Lu Lian, and she was still using an old-fashioned one. She picked it up immediately. Lu Lian, are you Lu Lian's mother? I am. Your child owes money. If you don't return it, we'll throw her into a brothel to pay off the money. You, where are you? The person gave an address, and it was obvious that it was not a good place. Sufan was so shocked that she dropped the phone in her hand. Xiao Che, hurry up and save our Lu Lian. I can't let her be defiled. She's my only daughter. What did Wu Lu Lian do this time? Hearing this, Lin Che said to her, don't worry. Where is he now? They said it was some kind of charm. It was a famous nightclub. There were many beautiful women inside, and many of them could be brought out for private transactions. Lin Che knew about that place because the news had mentioned it time and time again. But because he didn't know who was behind it, he kept standing there. Lin Che said, I'll send someone over to take a look first. Thank you so much. Little Che, you're our family savior. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to her here. Otherwise, whatever happened outside would be her trouble. Lin Che immediately sent someone to Charm Beauty to stop these people in case they really did anything to her. In the seductive room, those hooligans were unscrupulously touching and kissing lingering love. He was just one step away, but he still needed her to ask for money, so he didn't do it. Flowing Love was disgusted. She felt extremely uncomfortable being touched by so many people. You, let me go. I really don't have money. We've already called your mother. If you don't have money, you'll be thrown to someone else. You're not bad looking, but you're still young. I think you'll be able to return the money soon. Ha. No, don't do this. I don't want to sell it. You don't want to go. Who asked you to lend us so much money? I really can return it. She had secretly taken things from Lin Che's villa and wanted to sell them. However, no one dared to buy them in the black market. When they saw them, they said that they belonged to someone else. If they dared to buy them, they would have to be tired of living. She was really furious, but she could only put the things back secretly. Then, she thought of borrowing money from the loan sharks. Who knew that she would fall into their trap? Just then, someone outside suddenly said, someone is here to call her. Your mother is quite fast. When she went out, she saw a few bodyguards walking in. Where is she? They were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. These people were here for that woman. How did that woman know these people? Didn't they say that she came from another city and had no background? She's inside. The bodyguards came in and saw Flowing Love lying on the ground in a disheveled state. They immediately pulled her up and walked out. Hey, don't go. She hasn't paid the loan sharks yet. How much does she owe? At this moment, Lin Che arrived. The bodyguards looked at Lin Che. Their eyes lit up. Then, They looked at the person on the ground and thought to themselves, since it was Lin Che who came, the money would be settled. She owes 3 million. Huh? Lin Che said, I mean, how much do you owe before the interest? Hey, you don't have to worry about that. She owes us 3 million anyway. Sufan looked at her daughter. Her heart ached when she saw that her daughter was in such a sorry state. Aya, my flowing love, why do you owe so much money? What did you do? I. Flowing love was also regretting it. She had always wanted to be a star. She had thought that would be fine if she slept with them. But after interacting with them, she realized that she could not sleep with those directors just because she wanted to. She pretended that she was a rich young lady and wanted to act in a role. Those people saw that she was so generous with her money and lived in such an expensive villa, so they really believed that her family was rich. But she had to spend money. She had spent all her money and did not dare to ask for more from her family. So, she had to borrow from the loan sharks. She had thought that this was a kind of investment. She could return the money to them if she could become a star. But now that the interest had increased, she had borrowed 300,000, but it had suddenly become 3 million. She had never seen so much money in her life. Lin Che looked at them and said, All right, you don't want to say? I'll treat it as $3 with interest. With that, she threw $3 on the ground. The bodyguards looked at her and wondered what she was doing. We've returned the money to you. We'll take her away. Hey you, Lin Che, you can't be so unreasonable. If you're like this, we'll have to find a place to argue with you. Lin Che chuckled and said, You're the one who didn't tell me. 300,000. She owes 300,000. With the interest, it's 3 million. When Sufan heard this, she said angrily, Why don't you just rob someone? Country bumpkin, what do you know? This is our rule. The bodyguard said to Sufan in disdain. Lin Che said, All right, if that's the case, 300,000? She'll slowly return it in the future. We'll take her away first. Not a single cent less. Otherwise, don't even think about taking her away. Oh, let me see if I can take her away. Lin Che waved his hand, and the bodyguards immediately walked over. Chapter 1324. The skills of the security guards were not something that these hooligans could compare to. Someone tried to snatch Lin Che away, but was pressed to the ground by the security guards. Seeing that Lin Che's subordinates were so powerful and Lin Che was so domineering and not afraid of these gangsters at all, Lu Yin forgot how lowly she had been. She immediately stood up and shouted, Humph, you lied to me. You lied to me again. Now you know how powerful I am. The few hooligans were instantly beaten to the ground. Looking at the proud Wu Yulian, they were still in a state of shock. They did not understand how the tables had turned so quickly. Sufan rushed over and hugged Wu Yulian. Child, you silly child. What did you do? Look at yourself. Wu Yulian said, It's not my fault. It's all their fault for lying to me. You think I don't know? I'll ask you when we get back. Sufan wanted to drag Wu Yulian away, but the hooligans did not forget about the money they owed. Sai, you can't not return the 300,000. You really owe them that. Sufan felt her head hurt when she heard the 300,000. She did not have that much money. She had never seen so much money in her life. You're lying. You never gave it to us. You must be lying to us. I don't believe you. What proof do you have? We all have the IOU in black and white. Lin Che looked at Wu Yulian. You should return the 300,000 you owe us. Hearing Lin Che's words, Lu Yin's expression changed. She pinched her hands and said, I don't have money. How could I have so much money? Lin Che said, Then what did you do with the money? Wu Yulian stuttered, I want to be a star. Don't stars need to spend money to manage themselves? I just manage myself. If I wanted to manage myself, 300,000 is nothing. Lin Che crossed his arms. 300,000 was a normal person's income for many years. How could she say that it was nothing? It's true that you manage yourself, but it has to be in line with your actual situation. If you can afford the money, you can use it to manage yourself. But since you can't, it's beyond your capabilities. If you still want to manage yourself, aren't you just digging your own grave? Lin Che said, Then you should think of a way to earn money and return the money. What? Wu Lulian said, if I don't become a celebrity, how can I earn so much money in such a short time? I only earn a few $1,000s a month. I won't be able to pay it off in this lifetime. How could that be? You could try. Your mother. Wu Yulian couldn't bring herself to say it, so she stomped her feet and looked at Su Fun. Su Fun hurriedly said, she definitely can't afford it. She's only 16 years old. If she pays back the money like this, what will happen to her in the future? Please help us. This money, we don't have to pay back. Lin Che said, how can I do that? It's only right and proper for a person to repay a debt. I don't have to ask for so much interest from them, but to directly say that they aren't allowed to get back the 300,000 that belongs to them is too outrageous. There are also people with status. To be able to make a name for themselves and be city, they're definitely not ordinary people. If I have reason, I can still talk to them. If I don't, how can I argue with them? It wasn't as if Su Fan didn't see how Lin Che's men had beaten up the people on the opposite side. How could they not be able to handle it? Xiao Che, we're relatives after all. Can't you do us a favor? If you have the ability, please help us. You can't just watch Lu Yin's life be ruined. I really want to have the ability, but I really can't force you to pay them back the 300,000. Su Fan couldn't bring herself to say it. You have so much money. Can't you just help us pay it back? At this moment, Wu Yulian thought of something and immediately said, how about I work at your studio to pay back the money? Is that okay? Lin Che squinted at Wu Yulian. Looking at her radiant face, it was obvious what she was planning. Our company is not short of people now. Even if you go there, there won't be a suitable position. Can't I be your trainee? Trainees don't get paid. So harsh. It's like this. We provide food and lodging, but we don't get paid unless we take on a commercial performance or go out to work. Lin Che said honestly. Wu Lilian hesitated for a long time before saying, then, what about the assistants of those celebrities? Can't I be an assistant? I see that you are hiring assistants every day. You must be short of them. They were indeed short of such assistants because it was not easy to hire them. Lin Che raised his eyebrows. Okay, if you can do it, then give it a try. Upon hearing this, Wu Yulian smiled brightly. Being an assistant meant that she could get close to those celebrities in the entertainment industry. She might be able to find a chance among them. Lin Che looked at her and shook his head silently. The hooligans looked at them. They had already discussed it amongst themselves. What were they going to do? They wouldn't accept the idea of paying back the money slowly. Lin Che, what do you mean by this? It's impossible for us to pay back the money. We have to support our families too. Upon hearing this, Su Fan became even more nervous. What if they were not willing? Lin Che turned around and said, second aunt, you guys go out first. I'll talk to them. Su Fan hurriedly brought Wu Liulian out. After the two of them went out, Lin Che looked at the hooligans in front of him and said, you have to know that loan sharks are against the law. A few hooligans said, in our underworld, there's no such thing as breaking the law or not. There are only rules. Go and ask around. These are the rules of our industry. What are you trying to do? You're a celebrity. Just be a celebrity. Why do you care about our underworld? Lin Che had no choice. It looked like he had to use his connections. She said, okay, since you're talking about the underworld, then I'll use the underworld's people to write an IOU. What? Whatever you say is useless. What underworld's people? Is the Black Hawk useful? Who? The Black Hawk. Don't tell me you don't know the Black Hawk. After a while, Su Fun and Wu Liulian waited outside. Wu Liulian said, can Lin Che do it? Those people are very powerful. Su Fun said, it's not like you didn't see how powerful their bodyguards were just now. But those are all gangsters. Even if these bodyguards can beat them for the time being, they still have a lot of power in the underworld. In front of us, Lin Che can still pretend to be very powerful. But now that she has asked us to come out, could it be that she can't handle it at all? At this moment, the door opened and Lin Che came out. Chapter 1325. Wu Yulian still wanted to say something, but she saw a few hooligans behind Lin Che bowing to her. They were almost lowering their heads to the ground. Sister Che, take your time. You don't have to come personally if you need anything. Look, You've been through a lot this time. Lin Che said, All right, let's get down to business first. Yes. I'm really sorry. But we really owe you money, and we can't do anything about it. We don't want the interest. Sister Che, you're a relative. You just have to pay us back slowly. We can't do anything about it. It's not a small amount. It's $300,000. Lin Che took out a contract and passed it to Wu Liulian. Liulian, take a look. This is your contract. From now on, all the money you earn outside will be transferred to them. What? Wu Liulian said gloomily. Can't I keep some for myself? You can only keep 10%. That's too little. That's why you should work hard. The sooner you pay back the money, the sooner you can be free. Wu Liulian looked at the people behind her. They were so polite to Lin Che, but he still wanted her to pay back the money. She was furious, but then she thought about it. She could become Lin Che's assistant soon. If she had the chance, she might become a celebrity. She decided not to think about it for now. She reluctantly agreed and signed the contract. The hooligans hurriedly escorted Lin Che out. Sufan looked at them and asked Lin Che, What's wrong with them? Little Che, you're amazing. They were so arrogant just now, but now they're so obedient. Lin Che said, How is it because I'm amazing? I only got this because I begged them for a long time, and this is the only time I can get it. It's useless to beg anymore. If you guys come looking for me again, I won't be able to do anything. Yes. I'll teach Lu Yulian a lesson when we get back. Sufan was scared out of her wits. She wanted to talk to Lu Yulian about how dangerous it was. If something really happened to her, her life would be ruined. Oh yes, are you really going to be an assistant tomorrow? Sufan asked. Yeah. In that case, you must have your people take good care of our flowing love. Only by going through hardships can one rise above others. In our line of work, we have to go through hardships as well. It's good for her to learn a little. Once she practices, she'll know what to do in the future. Io, don't say that. I don't think you've suffered much. Look at you now. You have people waiting on you wherever you go. That's now. In the past, I was beaten and scolded a lot. You don't know that. Being a small assistant, serving tea and water, who hasn't done that in our line of work? Sufan was dubious. Had she ever suffered like this? He really couldn't tell. Lin Che went back home and called Yu Minmin when he got home. Tomorrow, Wu Yulian will report in. Let her follow Cheng Yuan too and find an opportunity to fire her. They really know how to make trouble. Yeah, I'm afraid of her. If she can call me now, she can also call my mother next time. My mother is doing well in the M Nation, but she's still harassed and complained about her. That's not good. Anyway, it's not a big deal. Let them know early that it's not so easy to make a living in this industry. All right, don't worry. I'm good at this. Lin Che made the arrangements. The next day, he heard that the Dian delegation had set a date. They were indeed the nouveau riche royal family. Before the princes of the royal family arrived, they had already attracted the attention of many media outlets. All of a sudden, the news was all over the place, introducing these princes. Lin Che saw some people discussing behind him. I think Prince Hardman is the best, but it seems like he won't inherit the throne. He's the third prince in line of succession. Then who will inherit the throne? The eldest prince has been the crown prince for many years. It's Syed. Aya, he looks handsome too. That's right. He's rich. These oil fields will be his in the future. He's so handsome and rich. What if he wants to marry? He already has a wife. I saw it. They can marry 4 wives, but he only married 3, right? Ha. Are you going to be his concubine? So what if I'm a concubine? He's so handsome and rich. When Yu Minmin heard what the people behind her said, she smiled and said to Lin Che, Look, she can't wait to become a concubine. Lin Che said, But I can see that Syed's wives don't have a high status, and their princesses usually don't have a high status. The current princesses have a bit of authority because they have many sons because their sons are the crown prince. However, the other princesses aren't even comparable to ordinary guests. They don't know. You've seen them. Of course you know. We don't have a chance to see the royal life. Shoo. Don't be jealous of me. Are you going to attend the reception this time? Yeah, that's good. I'll be there too. Harman is familiar with Gu Jingza. That's great. We have a companion. Actually, Lin Che had never been to such a reception. For this reason, she purposely chose some clothes that looked more dignified, but not as formal as the First Lady. This was to prevent others from guessing. These were all reminded by the butler. After all, when it came to matters of national affairs, they had to be more cautious. They had to think more comprehensively. Lin Che looked at herself in the mirror. The servant smiled and said, "Madam, you look good in anything. You don't have to worry." Lin Che turned around and smiled sweetly. She was indeed very flirtatious and captivating. "You guys flatter me every day. I really think I'm a fairy. We're telling the truth. Madam, you look better and better." Lin Che was enjoying herself with the servants. Soon, Gu Jingzi came to pick her up. He pulled her along and walked out. The diplomatic group has arrived. Syed is leading them. Harman is among them. "Okay, I'm fine. Will the media take pictures of us?" "The media will only take pictures of them at the airport. They're not allowed to enter the party." "Oh, that's good. Otherwise, it would be troublesome." Outside, Gu Jingming had arranged for people to welcome the diplomatic group. They got off the plane, surrounded by the media. The princes were photographed by the media. There were no women on this trip. Gu Jingzi explained to Lin Che, "Their princesses won't come out to meet people." This confirmed Lin Che's guess. Their princesses didn't have a high status. Chapter 13:26. The luxurious life of the diplomatic mission had been publicized by the media for a long time. Many people sighed in admiration. Gu Jingming waited at the glass palace. The media was not allowed to enter until he reached the glass palace. Lin Che went in and saw that the banquet was ready. Yu Minmin followed Gu Jingming to deal with the officials. When they were almost done, they came to find Lin Che. Because it was a state visit, there were a lot of trivial matters and rules. Harman followed behind. When he saw Lin Che, he exclaimed, "Hey, Lin Che, you are here." This voice attracted the attention of many officials. Everyone could not help but turn around to see who Harman was calling out to. When they saw Lin Che, many of their eyes flashed with astonishment. But Harman didn't care. He pushed away a few people and came to Lin Che's side. Princes like Harman were used to being ostentatious at home. They didn't care about the understanding of the officials. Moreover, Harman wasn't a candidate for the crown prince, so he lived more freely than others. Everyone looked at Harman and then at Lin Che, who was behind him. They were wondering how these people knew Lin Che. In other words, Lin Che's social circle was really strange. Usually, he wouldn't mingle with those socialites, but the people he knew were all top-notch. Because of this, Lin Che didn't want to make friends with anyone. He just got along well with them. Because of this, the people who knew each other were not very scattered. They were all concentrated on these people. Gu Jingzi was not around at that moment. Harman said, "You're actually alone. Did Gu Jingzi let you walk around here?" "Why not?" Lin Che said strangely. "Doesn't he always stay close to you? That's in Dean City. It's not a big deal here." Lin Che said, "He was worried that I would have problems when I was abroad. But in my own home, I don't think there will be any problems." Harman raised his eyebrows. "Anyway, I only saw him sticking to you." At this time, Gu Jingzi should be busy with business. She naturally wouldn't get involved. The two of them talked for a while. During this time, there was no lack of people who wanted to interrupt them. However, Harman did not like to talk to people, so they could only watch in fear and gradually stop coming over. In the middle of the conversation, Harman got bored and left the place to find other entertainment. "Hey, I see that there are quite a few beautiful women here. I want to go and have a good look." Lin Che shook his head helplessly. He turned around and found a place to sit down. After talking for so long, he was extremely thirsty. Just as he took a sip of water, he saw a shadow buried in front of him. "Hey, what are you doing hiding here?" He raised his head. Syed's lips curled into a prideful smile. Lin Che said, "You call this hiding here? I'm clearly drinking here in broad daylight." "Is that so? However, I feel that you have been talking to Harman the entire time, ignoring me. Weren't you intentionally avoiding me?" "Eh, I didn't even see you, so there's nothing to hide from. Besides, why is it that I'm hiding from you when I'm talking to Harman?" "Because a lot of people know that Harman and I never speak together." Lin Che frowned. He leaned against her and said, I'm not interested in Haman, a prince who doesn't even know who his mother is. How arrogant. That's your younger brother. I have many younger brothers. I already have enough. I don't need another one. Lin Che said speechlessly. Aren't you being too unreasonable? What else? If I have to call a child born to a random woman my father finds outside my brother, then should I call his mother, who might be a maid sweeping the floor? Lin Che rolled his eyes at him. Forget it. His lifestyle was ultimately different from hers. There was no point in talking nonsense with him. But this was the first time she found out that the fight for the position of crown prince was very obvious. There was no concealment at all, and it was not done behind the scenes. Instead, whoever they were not good with, whoever they had enmity with, it was all done in the open. It was unbelievable. She was used to the reserved way of fighting in Country C. She wasn't used to the feeling over there. However, when Lin Che stood up and left, Syed followed him. In the corridor, Syed said, "Where are you going?" Lin Che frowned, feeling that it wasn't appropriate. "Prince, you're the representative of the diplomatic group. It's not right for you to follow me." So many people were looking at him, yet he left just like that. What did he look like? What's more, he followed behind her and left. Did he not care about others at all? Did he not care about the big picture at all? Syed looked behind him. Is there anything wrong with me caring about others when I want to go out alone? That's natural. People will start gossiping if they see it. Eldest prince, please go back. Syed stood in front of Lin Che and blocked his way. No, I hate the so-called etiquette of Country C. Some of them are cumbersome and useless, especially when you're in a high position and have a high status, yet you still have to care about what others think. What's the point of having power and money then? Lin Che took half a step back. Prince, please have some respect. Perhaps our habits are different from yours, but since you're in Country C, please respect our habits. Haha, I've never respected anything before, Syed said as he approached Lin Che. Lin Che's gaze became even more vigilant. He looked at Syed with a hint of warning. Prince, if you come any closer, I'll suspect your intentions. No, you don't have to suspect me, Syed said. I'm inviting you. Inviting me for what? Inviting you to marry me and be my wife. Ridiculous. That was the first word that flashed through Lin Che's mind. Following that, she felt disgusted, and confused. You have 3 princesses, and I also have my husband. Are you joking with me? Not really. Syed did not hesitate. He looked down at her with his height, as if he was giving her face by saying that. I'm the heir to the throne, and I'll become the king in the future. As for Gu Jingze, he's not even the head of the family anymore. Without the Gu family, he'll lose his support. You can consider marrying the most powerful man in the world. That man is no longer Gu Jingze, but me. It was hilarious. Lin Che sneered. You're not the most powerful man. The most powerful man will always be Gu Jingze. Chapter 1327. Syed laughed arrogantly. How is that possible? His net worth is already lower than mine. Lin Che shook his head with a faint smile. No matter what his net worth is, in my eyes, he is everything to me. He is more valuable than everything I have, more valuable than my life. So in my heart, he will always be the strongest. Syed's eyes narrowed dangerously. His gaze was sinister, looking a little sinister. At this moment, Dongzi was still looking at them from behind, as if he would rush over at any time. Because he was the eldest prince, Dongzi was not so aggressive. However, regardless of whether he was the eldest prince or not, if he wanted to hurt Lin Che, they would definitely not be lenient. Syed snorted. What are you looking at? I don't need to force a woman if I want to. Lin Che's gaze deepened. Syed said straightforwardly, I will show you when I am the strongest man. Lin Che said, give up. Syed took a deep look at her. Then, he saw that Harman had actually followed them here. He harumphed at Harman and left without saying goodbye to him. Harman looked at Lin Che. What is he doing here? Lin Che shook his head. Nothing. Harman followed Lin Che out. As they walked, he said, you should be careful. Syed has always been competitive since he was young. It's not a big deal if you always go along with what he says. But once you go against him, he will definitely fight to the end. Lin Che frowned slightly. She felt a little uneasy. This was indeed not good. She felt that she should stay away from the diplomatic mission to avoid trouble. With this thought in mind, she asked Dongzi to tell Gu Jingze that she would leave first. Then, she left. Outside, the weather was fine. The president's palace was shrouded in a joyous atmosphere. It looked peaceful, but it was mixed with a bad atmosphere. Lin Che thought that maybe she was overthinking. After leaving, Lin Che went home. When he arrived at the door, he heard that something had happened to the kindergarten. The kindergarten staff called and said that someone had called at night, saying that they wanted to send a few children to the kindergarten. They said that the kindergarten was already full and would not be accepting any more students. The other party said that they were from the Gu family and wanted to send a few of the Gu family's children to the kindergarten. Lin Che was a little depressed. Someone from the Gu clan. Lin Che held his forehead and said, "Which Gu family?" "That's what I asked too. They said there's no other Gu family in Country C." Lin Che said, "We're not accepting any more students. That's it. We're already full. We won't accept any more." Which other Gu family could it be? It had to be the Gu family of the previous clan members. Currently, there were two Gu families in the rich circle of Country C. They called Gu Jingze an expatriate, while the Gu family, which was led by the Shui family, was old-fashioned. This way, everyone would know who they were talking about. After all, now that the two families had separated, they couldn't continue to talk about it together. As for the kindergarten opened by Lin Che, because the kindergarten was funded by several people, no one exposed it to the public. Therefore, people outside only knew that there was a kindergarten with a strong background here. The facilities inside were better than any kindergarten in Country C, and the teachers were definitely better than those international kindergartens. Therefore, not long after the kindergarten opened, the quota was full. Although the kindergarten could be expanded, Lin Che found it troublesome. He didn't want the kindergarten to blindly expand, which would ruin the quality of the kindergarten. It was better to have the right students and the right teachers. Only then could the quality of the kindergarten be the best. As a result, he didn't expect the kindergarten to be even more exaggerated than before. Many people talked about this kindergarten and said that it was really amazing. If there were enough students, even the emperor couldn't get in. It was useless to look for people, connections, and money. It seemed that it was really the best kindergarten. All of a sudden, the kindergarten was exaggerated. People even said that the children who could go to school here must have a strong background. In this way, there were more people who want to get in. This was human nature. The more they couldn't get something, the better it was. The rarer it was, the more treasured it was. The more they couldn't get in, the more high-end it seemed. In fact, it was not as high-end as people said. They just paid more attention to the children's growth. Because in the beginning, the kindergarten was built to ensure the safety of the children and also to ensure that their studies were guaranteed. Now everything was fine. Why did the Gu family bump into her again? Lin Che put down the phone and asked someone to find out who from the Gu family came to make trouble. After asking, he found out that several relatives of the Gu family heard that this kindergarten was amazing, so they didn't want to have a tutor at home, so they wanted to go to this kindergarten. What did it mean? In the past, the children of the Gu family would have tutors at home. Even if they didn't go to school before middle school or high school, they could go abroad to study. Why did this one want to go to their kindergarten? After receiving the call, the kindergarten was a little worried. They didn't worry about anything else, because they knew that the investors behind them weren't people ordinary people could afford to offend. Therefore, in terms of teaching and resources, it was smooth sailing for them. Those who wanted to find trouble outside, the government and the underworld, all took a detour when they saw this kindergarten. But the Gu family was a little different. After all, they were indeed a famous family in Country C. They weren't the #1 family, just for show. Lin Che sent someone to ask, and the relatives of the Gu family were still asking about this matter. Seeing that the kindergarten didn't respond, they directly sent someone to ask. The Gu family sent a butler who specialized in children's tutoring to the kindergarten to ask. The butler, Zhou Zhong, looked like an old-fashioned person. He sat there with his legs crossed, drinking tea on the table, and looked at the kindergarten director in front of him. When you come to Country C, the first thing you should know is who is the most powerful in Country C. Not to mention other things, the Gu family has been in Country C for so many years, and they have seen all kinds of storms. They have a strong foundation, and the disciples behind them are all over the world. These are not just for show. The kindergarten director was a foreigner. He stood there, not saying a word. He continued, "This time, it's because our teacher wants our children to have more contact with society, so we decided to choose a kindergarten that looks good to try. Otherwise, our family's tutors are actually more than enough. They're all children's tutors hired from abroad, and they are all famous teachers. It's just that our family doesn't have the environment, so we thought that the environment here is good, so we wanted to give it a try." Chapter 13:28. What he meant was that they should be honored to have chosen this place. But the principal could only shake his head. Lin Shay had already told them that they wouldn't accept anyone else. "We are already full, sir. I'm serious. You can try signing up earlier next year. If someone drops out, I can inform you immediately. But now, what?" The butler looked up with a smile. "You didn't understand me, did you?" No, I understand. But we really don't have a single place left." "Ahem, principal. Who is the investor here? I can tell you directly. It might be more useful for me to talk to him. This has nothing to do with them. No matter who it is." "All right, you're probably a foreigner, so you don't understand." "No, I've already asked. To be honest, I've already asked them. But they really said that we are very strict in running a school. For the sake of good education, we must have principals." "You." The butler stood up immediately and looked at the stubborn principal. "I'll go and ask them now. Who is the investor behind you? How audacious." The butler snorted and glared fiercely at the director before leaving. The principal touched his forehead. Ever since he started this kindergarten, he had encountered people like this from time to time. It made him speechless. However, most of them went to look for the investor and then disappeared. It seemed that they had been told that it was impossible, so they didn't show up. But this time, the investor was from the Gu family. Would they do the same? When the Gu family returned home, they immediately talked about this matter. Immediately, they said angrily, "Go and check. I don't believe that such a big kindergarten doesn't have any loopholes. Go and check." "Yes, sir." The subordinates immediately went to check. They were always number one in terms of hygiene. He had paid the taxes, and he had done it voluntarily. They had all the certificates for the teachers. They had bought the park themselves. They had more green space than other kindergartens. What else could they do? Most importantly, they could stir up trouble. But when someone started to ask about it, someone immediately said in private, "Forget it. You can't afford to offend this family." The Gu family was furious. "Ha, in country C, there's no one that my Gu family can afford to offend." They said, "We're telling the truth. It's not like no one has asked before, but they were all blocked. This family is incredible. You guys should just forget about it. Ha, there's nothing that our Gu family can calculate." The Gu family's housekeeper immediately went upstairs to make a fuss. There must be something wrong with their kindergarten. Investigate it for me. In the end, they really found a problem. That was, the area occupied was too large, and it did not quite comply with the planning regulations. In terms of planning, a kindergarten with only a few students would take up too much land and be considered a waste of land. When the butler saw this, he chuckled and said, "It's such a big area, and he dares to say that there are enough people. Isn't he deliberately hyping things up? I know this kind of sales method. He thinks that the more money he has, the more people he can get in. Is this hunger sale?" The people from the City Management Bureau quickly went to investigate. They went straight to the kindergarten and asked the kindergarten to take responsibility and give an explanation. When Lin Shay received the call, he sneered, "They're really something. Instead of living a good life, they just have to come and cause trouble." Gu Jingzi said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with the Gu family this time?" Lin Shay told him what had happened. "They're really something. How can they find fault with us? I'm speechless." Gu Jingzi said a large part of that piece of land is being built as a park. There's actually no problem. Do you need me to tell them? No need. Don't you have to deal with the diplomatic mission? Lin Shay said. When will they leave? I think they'll leave next week. Why are they staying for so long? They have too many things. They need to make proper arrangements. Lin Shay shook his head speechlessly. Although he had not been in contact with the diplomatic mission for the past few days, He had seen the news on TV. It said that they had brought so many things that they had piled up outside the hotel prepared for them, attracting a lot of attention. There was even a prince who had brought his own chair over, saying that the chairs here were not comfortable. Such extreme enjoyment and luxury had also attracted the attention and ridicule of the people in the country. Many people dreamed of marrying into this country that seemed to be like a treasury. However, if they really married into the country, they would probably find out that the truth was so cruel. Even if it was a little luxurious, it would not bring them happiness. Lin Che said, "Go and do what you need to do. I'll go and take a look. Even if the Gu family has separated from us, they should still recognize me." Gu Jingzi kissed her forehead. "I'll let them know you better." Over there, the Gu family's housekeeper was still waiting for someone to give them an explanation. At this moment, someone said, "Housekeeper Zhou, wait for a while. The person in charge of the kindergarten is coming." He chuckled and raised his teacup. He did not even look outside. "I knew it. In the end, they will still know how powerful the Gu family is. Let them come. I want to ask them face to face. What are they trying to do? They took up such a large area and violated such a big taboo. How can no one investigate it? Do they really think that Sea Country has no rules? Oh, how do I have no rules? I don't know." At this moment, a voice stunned them. Then Zhou Zhong raised his head immediately. When he saw Lin Che walk in with a group of people, he almost fell off his chair. The teacup in his hand had already fallen to the ground. Lin Che, the past Mrs. Gu. They all knew the wife of the direct descendant of the Gu family. It had not been long since this incident. Although they had separated from the family, the two Gu families were still inextricably linked. After so many years, Gu Jingzi was the one who understood the Gu family the best. The Gu family also understood Gu Jingzi the best. Hence, their fear and respect for Gu Jingzi had always been there. Although he was no longer the head of the family and had already separated, in their hearts, he was still high up and inviolable. Lin Che, who used to be by Gu Jingzi's side and was doted on, was also the same. "Ma, Mrs." In an instant, Zhou Zhong's voice trembled in fear. Lin Che looked at him sideways. He realized that he did not know this housekeeper. Lin Che maintained his status. There was a hint of coldness in his smile. He looked at him from the corner of his eyes. "Which family are you from?" I am a housekeeper of the Gu family's branch, the Gu family." "Oh, I know." Chapter 1329. Zhou Zhong quickly moved aside. Lin Che sat in the seat that he had been sitting on earlier. Before she sat down, the security guard helped her change the cushion. Since he was here, Lin Che had to put on a good front and get as far away from him as possible. He had been so arrogant in the name of the Gu family and said so many big words. It was time for him to slap himself in the face. The people who were still watching from the side were instantly shocked. They didn't know Lin Che's identity, but they saw the butler of the Gu family turn pale and his legs tremble the moment he saw Lin Che. Lin Che was just a celebrity. How could he be so scary? After all, he was a man, and he was the butler of the Gu family. Lin Che knew about these branches. There were only a dozen of them. When she took over from Gu Jingzi, she knew all of them, but she didn't know this kind of butler. Zhou Zhong didn't forget the time when Lin Che was the head of the Gu family, so he was afraid of Lin Che. After he realized what was going on, he told himself that there was nothing to be afraid of. She and Gu Jingzi had already left the Gu family, and he was going there alone. The Gu family didn't have to be afraid of Lin Che. However, in his heart, there was another voice saying that he knew how terrifying Gu Jingzi was. Offending Lin Che was the same as offending Gu Jingzi. Even the Gu family didn't dare to offend Gu Jingzi. He was just a small butler. How could he be so daring? But this kindergarten was built by Lin Che. No wonder. No wonder that's right. Their children all went to school there. Outsiders knew about it. However, they had specially built a kindergarten for these children. No wonder they weren't afraid. No matter what they said, it was useless. Gu Jingzi wasn't afraid of anyone. He didn't need to give face to anyone, so he rejected anyone who said anything. "What did you mean just now? What are you trying to do?" Lin Che paused for a moment before raising his eyebrows to look at her. Zhou Zhong said hurriedly, It's a misunderstanding, madam. I didn't know it was yours. I was blind. Lin Che laughed. No, we have to correct our mistakes. It's too big, isn't it? No, no. How dare he say that Gu Jingze is wrong? Does he want to die? We're leaving now. Really, we're leaving now. It's just that my husband wants to send these young masters and young ladies to school because of the fame of the kindergarten. You've done a great job. I don't know if it's you who did it, but the kindergarten has already become famous. Lin Che chuckled, but it's really full. How about this? You go back and tell him to reserve a spot for him. Next year, when school starts, we'll definitely inform him immediately. However, this place is really not as good as the Gu family's private tutor. I'm really worried that we'll be a burden to your family's young master and young mistress. If your studies turn out to be bad, wouldn't that be fatal? We can't afford it either. That's impossible. That's impossible. Your child is like a young master. How could it be wrong? It's a great honor for us to be able to enter this kindergarten. I'll go back and tell my teacher that you're kind enough to save a place for us next year. My teacher will be very happy. This bootlicker, as expected of the Gu family's housekeeper, he really knew how to talk. Lin Che snorted as he watched the butler leave. The butler went outside, wiping the cold sweat off his forehead. He was so unlucky to have bumped into Lin Che. He really wanted to slap himself. He shouldn't have gone in to pretend just now. Now, how could he take back what he had said? The people inside watched Zhou Zhong leave dejectedly. Then they looked at Lin Che and said hurriedly, Miss Lin now. Lin Che smiled. It's fine. Sorry to trouble you. Everyone behind him sighed in admiration. What's wrong with Lin Che? The guy who came here just now was so scared that he almost peed his pants when he saw Lin Che. Who knows? Maybe Lin Che has a backer. That backer is too strong. Even the Gu family is afraid of him. As for Zhou Zhong, he quickly went home and told his husband about this. What? Gu Jingze did it? He was a little dispirited, but he couldn't accept it. The more he thought about it, the more indignant he became. So after sitting for a while, he got up and went to look for Xue Mingqi. Mengqi, look, isn't Gu Jingze trying to take us down a notch? Xue Mingqi also had a headache. He came looking for humiliation, and now he wanted to complain. But is that kindergarten really that powerful? I don't know if it's powerful or not, but they have a good reputation. Now, they're deliberately making things difficult for us by not accepting our children. What's the meaning of this? Are we enemies now that we've separated from the family? We're relatives after all. How can they do this? Xue Mingqi was originally angry. These few days, the princes from Dubai had come to visit and appeared on TV. But when they came to Country C, they went straight to the Glass Palace and completely cut off contact with the Gu family. In the past, when Gu Jingze was still around, they would definitely visit the Gu family when they came to Country C. Not to mention the other princes, they had a good relationship with the Gu family in the past. But now, the Gu family seemed much more deserted, because those people didn't come to the Gu family anymore. Xue Mingqi was in charge of many things in the Gu family, but she was still a step away from becoming the head of the family. She was still thinking about what she could do to gain the trust of the family and become the head of the family in an instant. But it was really difficult. Now, before she could think of anything, someone came to complain that she had been bullied by Gu Jingze. She said, that was Lin Che's doing, right? What? Gu Qing asked. Xue Mingqi said, that kindergarten. Gu Jingze doesn't have the time to open a kindergarten. It must be Lin Che's idea. He likes to cause trouble when he has nothing better to do. That should be it. All right, you can go back first. Leave this matter to me, Xue Mingqi said. Of course I won't let the Gu family's reputation be tarnished like this. It's just a kindergarten. There are many ways to make him shut down. Xue Mingqi was good at using all kinds of tricks, and the tricks she used might not all be based on principles. She liked to drift in the gray area and take risks occasionally. Especially now, she hadn't had enough of being the head of the family. She definitely wouldn't be chased away like this. In that case, it couldn't be any better to use Lin Che as an example. After all, the people of the Gu family hated Lin Che, an outsider who had been spoiled to the heavens and started to show off. Chapter 1330. Lin Che took some time out and brought Gu Shiwan out to play. Gu Shinian was in school, and Gu Shiwan was about to be sent to kindergarten. There were too many people protecting her at home, and the people who played with her were all servants and adults. It wasn't good, so Lin Che wanted to send her to her brother's side as soon as possible. Anyway, in the nursery, there would be teachers who would take good care of her, and she could become independent early. It would be good for her character. So before that, Lin Che still found time to accompany Gu Shiwan and tell her about the benefits of going to kindergarten. Gu Shiwan gradually accepted it. Of course, one of the reasons was that she felt that going to kindergarten was nothing. Her brother would be there too. He would take care of her and play with her. Gu Shiwan didn't like to play with little girls usually, but she was like a little boy. She loved to climb trees and jump over walls and drive cars with those naughty kids. She was a tomboy. Therefore, she usually liked to play with her brother and wanted to be with her brother very much. As she watched the children play, she leaned against a chair and looked at her cup. Then, she saw someone behind her starting to seal off the surroundings. A group of people surrounded them. They seemed to be well armed. Lin Che stood up. "What's going on?" "Madam, I think they're from the Dubai diplomatic mission," the security guard said. Lin Che's eyes moved. Indeed, he saw Syed walk out. He took off his Arab clothes and wore a suit. When he walked over, he looked to the side and held the front of his shirt. The servant looked over and was a little surprised. She asked Lin Che, "Madam, what do we do now?" Lin Che waved his hand. "It's fine. Let him come over. Hey, what have you been doing these few days? I'm about to leave, but you haven't come out." He walked over and said, Lin Che said, "It's my honor that the elder prince came to my place. As you can see, I'm taking care of the child." He glanced at the little girl in the distance. "She looks like you at such a young age. She'll definitely be a beauty in the future." He smiled and squinted his eyes. "I think that if we had a child, it would be prettier than her." Lin Che was furious. He was too arrogant. He actually dared to speak so arrogantly here. "Eldest prince, how many times do I have to say it? I'm already married. I love my husband. There's no possibility between us. What you're doing is immoral." Haha. Morality is just a saying of the winner. If you and I get together, we might be talked about enthusiastically in the future. I married a princess of country C. This is also very good for the cooperation between our two countries. That's enough, first prince. What's the point of doing this? Do you just want to conquer me? There are so many women who are worth conquering. Why choose a woman like me, who has already given birth to 2 children? Syed squinted. His eyes were filled with greed for her. It was a very domineering and evil feeling. "You have a unique charm. Right now, I feel that I don't even have feelings for other women. Yesterday, your rich businessman secretly gave me a few women. When I saw them, I felt disgusted because I felt that they were completely inferior to you." Lin Che felt that it was humiliating. "Syed, don't you think that it's very embarrassing for you to say such things to a woman?" "Of course not. Isn't it the greatest reward for a woman to desire her?" "Lin Che, as long as you're willing, you'll be the most respected woman in my country in the future. None of my princesses can be compared to you. Now, I'm lacking a princess. Isn't this prepared for you?" "That's enough." Lin Che's eyes sharpened. At this moment, someone suddenly said, "Madam, something happened at the kindergarten." Lin Che paused for a moment and glared at Syed. He hid the disgust in his eyes and said to the servant, "What happened?" The people from the Gu family said that the kindergarten was built with the Gu family's funds. At that time, the family hadn't split up yet. The kindergarten was hidden by us and was not included in the division of assets. So, we have to divide it again now. Lin Che was stunned. Then, he really wanted to laugh. They're really making use of every opportunity to find an excuse to pick on me, aren't they? Because they were speaking in a language of country C, Syed did not understand what they were talking about. Syed quickly caught up to Lin Che before the translator could translate the message. "Where are you going?" Lin Che pushed Syed away. "Stay away from me. I have something to take care of." Syed was stunned. Did he just get pushed away? Next to him, his servant saw that it was a serious crime to use violence against a member of the royal family. However, Syed waved his hand and asked his servant to leave first. He smiled and continued to follow Lin Che. What happened? I'll help you. No need. Lin Shay looked like he was annoyed and didn't need his help. Syed found it even more interesting, so he chased after Lin Shay. On the other side, the people from the Gu family had surrounded the kindergarten. Outside the kindergarten, some parents came after hearing the news. They had no idea what was going on. The kindergarten had always been grand and formal. Why did it look a bit messy today? Some people wanted to ask what was going on, but the people from the Gu family did not allow anyone to enter the kindergarten. The parents became even more anxious and began to discuss among themselves. What's going on? These people look so powerful. No, won't our children be in danger? Look, someone is coming. Let's go and see what's going on. Lin Shay and the others arrived. At the entrance, the people from the Gu family were a bit scared when they saw Lin Shay coming. However, a young master of the Gu family yelled when he saw them being scared. What's going on? How can you be so scared when a woman is here? The people puffed out their chests again. It made sense. She was no longer their wife. What was there to be afraid of? Lin Shay looked at the person who had come. She had seen this person before. He should be a junior of the Gu clan. She sneered. Shuiming Chi didn't come herself, but sent some juniors over. What's the meaning of this? Is there no one in the Gu clan now? Heh, let me handle such a small matter. Lin Shay, why are you here? Where's Gu Jingza? Why is he hiding behind a woman's back after leaving the Gu family? Lin Shay said calmly. Gu Jingza doesn't need to deal with such a small matter. The man is in charge of the outside world, while the woman is in charge of the inside world. I've always been the one dealing with the children. Why are you here? Why are you here to ask about my children's kindergarten? Are you too busy to do business? Chapter 1331. Lin Shay's words were getting more and more vicious. He was implying that they would take care of the kindergarten. The Gu family was really degrading themselves. The young master had never experienced such things before. He blushed and stared at her for a long time before he thought of a way to retaliate. The Gu family's property can't be taken away from us. We won't let anyone take advantage of us. This is our principle. Lin Shay snorted. That's ridiculous. I built this place. I invested in it. What does it have to do with the Gu family? She built this place? Why didn't he believe it? Humph, what money do you have? Gu Jingza must have sponsored this place. No matter how much it is, it's our money. You have to return what we deserve to the Gu family. Lin Shay looked at him. You're being unreasonable. Why don't I have any money? Of course. This place is so small. The land alone is worth tens of millions. It's definitely not something you can afford. Hurry up and stop wasting time. We're going to take this place anyway. As he spoke, he looked at the curious parents who were still fanning the flames. What are you looking at? This kindergarten is illegal. It's ours. This bitch stole our money to open it. How dare you send your child here? Are you trying to be a thief? The parents were shocked when they heard that. They didn't know what to say. They were shocked and in disbelief. How could it be? The kindergarten is so powerful. How could it be because of stealing money? There won't be any problems in the future, will there? Lin Shay's face darkened. They actually dared to talk nonsense to the parents. That's enough. Get out of here right now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Lin Shay walked over immediately. He raised his head and looked at them. He said directly, "You bullied a weak woman like me. It's fine if you want to build a kindergarten, but you also want to obstruct our development. We just want to do something. So what if we're women? Can't women have so much money to build a school? Are you looking down on us?" Most of the parents were mothers because it was usually mothers who contacted the kindergarten. Therefore, when these women heard Lin Shay's words, they were immediately aroused some feminist thoughts. That's right. Women can be rich too. Why is it that women's money must be obtained through dishonest means? I don't think there will be any problems here. We believe in Lin Shay. He's running the school well. It must be you guys who brought people here to cause trouble. Our kindergarten has been fine for such a long time. The children here are safe and sensible, and they learn a lot. Such a good school, yet you guys insist on destroying it. You must be plotting something. We can't listen to these people's gossip and deliberately provoke us. Can't we just look at our own children? Our children won't lie. Our children are learning so well here. Their English is like their mother tongue. They don't even need to hire a tutor. They're also very sensible. How can this school be bad? When one of the parents brought it up, everyone recalled it, and they all chimed in together. The young master of the Gu family saw this and didn't expect that he would make a fool of himself. Lin Che really had some skills. He had seen through these women's thoughts in an instant. The young master saw that he couldn't cause any more trouble, so he straightened his face and said, Lin Che, no matter what you do, this is still the Gu family's property. Don't force me to use force. He waved his hand, and the people he had prepared beforehand followed behind them. They had seen the difference between their security guards and Gu Jing's security guards at the wedding. They knew that it was useless to clash with them directly, but they had more people. Hence, this time they brought more people. However, just as they were about to make a move, they saw a group of people coming from behind them. It was definitely a military-grade facility, and they surrounded the people who had just come up. All of a sudden, they were even more surprised. These people didn't look like they were from Country C. Lin Che turned around and saw that Syed had already followed them. He looked at Lin Che and said, Look, Gu Jingza is already being bullied by you. Lin Che frowned. Why did he follow them for no reason? Lin Che said, Gu Jingza doesn't need to do anything for such a small matter. He doesn't need to do anything, but it doesn't mean that he can ignore it. Before Lin Che could say anything, Syed suddenly raised his hand and smiled at her. Let me show you what it means to be the most powerful man. Syed's eyes turned cold. He looked at the people in front of him with an arrogant face full of disdain. What was the Gu family now? When a few of them saw this, they didn't know how to react. Syed waved his hand and said, How dare you use violence in front of the royal family and the diplomatic corps? The people took a closer look and realized that these people were from the Dian royal family. Prince Syed. He was visiting Country C, so why was he here? They were even more surprised when they saw him standing next to Lin Che. Why did the crown prince know Lin Che? Lin Che, she made them feel that he was unfathomable. If it was because of Gu Jingza, he wouldn't have come to the kindergarten for such a small matter. It seemed that he had followed Lin Che here. Moreover, when they saw the way he smiled at Lin Che, they felt that he was not an ordinary person. The people didn't know what to do. Lin Che didn't want to accept Syed's help. He took 2 steps forward and said, All right, I'll let you go this time. Get lost and don't come near my kindergarten again. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. The people didn't want to leave, but when they looked at Syed and thought about how much money the royal family had, they felt that they would suffer a loss. It was better to leave. Syed looked at Lin Che with a smile after they left. If these people dared to bully you in my country, they would have gone to God by now. Lin Che said, We aren't as overbearing as you. Although they are annoying, they don't deserve to die. Ha! When you are with me, you will be the princess. Anyone who dares to touch the royal family will die. When that time comes, you will understand what it means to be superior. Sorry, I'm not interested. Lin Che turned around and was about to leave. Syed said, Lin Che, the more you refuse me, the more interesting I find you. One day, I will make you come to me and beg me to take you back. Syed looked at Lin Che and narrowed his eyes. His smile became more profound. Chapter 1332. Syed waved his hand and asked his men to come back. Syed's men were different from the others. They were all dressed in the same uniform. They were wearing hats and looked very eye-catching. When the mothers saw them dressed in the same uniform, they shouted, Hey, look at that guy. I think I've seen him on TV before. Who is he? He looks so powerful. I told you that our kindergarten has a strong foundation. I heard that many people want to come here, but they can't. We don't even accept one more person. No matter who it is, they can't get in even if they have money. I don't care if they can get in or not. Anyway, our children are doing well here. The mother raised her head proudly. She felt even prouder when she thought about what her daughter said about not being able to get in even if she had money. Looks like they really have a powerful background. I can tell that they're not ordinary people. They're so handsome and stylish. Thinking that her children would go to school with these powerful people and come into contact with these powerful people, she felt more satisfied and proud in her heart, and her expectations for the kindergarten became higher. When everyone saw that the kindergarten's crisis had been resolved, They felt even more assured and proud of the kindergarten. When the people from the Gu family went back and heard that Syed was standing next to Lin Che, they couldn't help but feel that Lin Che was indeed not a simple woman. If she was too simple, Gu Jingze wouldn't have fallen in love with her. She must have some tricks up her sleeve to be able to make Gu Jingze dote on her so much. Xuanmingqi clenched her fists and thought, this is only the first move. Since you like this, let's continue. Meanwhile, Syed was preparing to go back to China. When they came, they were very ostentatious. When they left, they didn't want to fall behind. When they left, they booked a few planes. Even half of the airport was grounded because they spent a lot of money to buy all the plane tickets, leaving half of the airport empty. When the news spread on the internet, everyone couldn't help but sigh. These people were really good at burning money. Syed walked forward, but he didn't see Gu Jingze. He was a little disappointed. Haman looked at Syed. Hey, stop looking. The person you want to see won't come. Syed grunted. You know who I want to see. No matter who it is, they won't come, said. Harmander snorted coldly. Syed squinted. How dare you call me by my name? Fine, but you won't be able to do that for long. After saying that, Syed brushed past Haman's shoulder and walked out. The Gu family. Gu Jingze called Lin Che. I'm going home late today. Lin Che said, all right then. It's been tough lately. Yeah, why? Do you feel bad? So what if I feel heartache? My heart aches. Serve me well at night. Don't make me work so hard in the day and again at night. Lin Che thought to himself, who asked you to always like to torment me at night? Furthermore, you always torment me for more than an hour before stopping. After hanging up the phone, Lin Che really felt that Gu Jingze had been very busy and tired these few days. When he came back at night, it was already past midnight. In the morning, he woke up at 6 o'clock, as usual. Although the food was always excellent, he might not be able to eat it in time. This workaholic would forget everything once he started working, let alone eating. As for the people around him, although they were worried about his health, Gu Jingze was too domineering. They didn't dare to remind him. How could they just let him do as he pleased? Lin Che thought for a moment. Suddenly, she wanted to make him something to eat. Actually, she had thought of giving him a surprise. Unfortunately, she treated herself as a surprise. She put aside the idea of making food for him for the time being. Otherwise, she was worried that it wouldn't be a surprise, but a shock instead. But now, she didn't treat it as a surprise. She just wanted to make something for him. She could give it a try. With that thought in mind, she went straight to the kitchen. She begged the chef to guide her as she started to make food for him. With the chef's guidance, the food was made very quickly. It looked good, but the taste she didn't dare to try it herself. The chef, on the other hand, was fearless. He picked up the chopsticks and bravely tried it. Mainly, he felt that there shouldn't be anything wrong with his supervision. However, when he really picked up the chopsticks to try it, Lin Che saw that the chef was silent. She quickly asked him, is it bad? It's not that. The chef wanted to cry. Why did the food taste so bad, even though he had watched her make it? Some people really weren't meant to be in the kitchen. However, the chef didn't dare to say it out loud. He only smiled and said, Madam, your food still has your unique taste. Lin Che felt like a failure. The chef saw that the madam's expression didn't look too good. He quickly said, it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's edible. It's just that the taste is different from what I imagined. Lin Che's eyes shone. Really? Let me try it. She quickly picked up the food and tasted it. Unknowingly, she realized it was edible, but the taste was really weird. She swallowed it. She felt that if she gave this to Gu Jingze, it would feel like she was trying to murder her own husband. The butler, on the other hand, knew how to talk. Seeing Lin Che like this, he smiled and said, Sir isn't picky about food. He has eaten all kinds of delicious food, but he has never eaten your bento. This is something he has never eaten before, so it's even more precious, isn't it? Why don't you give it a Sir to try? That's right. She was actually a failure as a wife. She didn't know anything. He was a husband, but his wife hadn't even had a decent dinner before. She thought for a while and got someone to pack it up. She was going to give it to him. No matter what it was, she was the one who made it for him. When they arrived at the Gu Corporation, they waited for a long time. They were told that Gu Jingze was still in a meeting. Qin Hao came out and saw Lin Che sitting outside with something in her hand. He was so shocked that he hurried over. No one went to inform Sir first. If Gu Jingzi knew that they had the guts to let Lin Che wait outside, he would skin him alive. Sure enough, when Gu Jingzi heard that Lin Che was here, he immediately ended the meeting and walked out. The moment he saw Lin Che, he smiled faintly and walked over. He put his arm around her shoulder and said, "Why are you here? Let's talk inside." Ever since Gu Jingzi and Lin Che separated from the Gu family, the whole Gu corporation had been talking about how Gu Jingzi had given up his empire for a beauty. And this beauty was none other than Gu Jingzi's own wife. Hence, the whole office was in awe of Mrs. Gu. They felt that Mrs. Gu was a legendary figure. Although she never came to the office, everyone knew her. Chapter 1333. In the office, Lin Che giggled and said to him, "Guess what I brought you?" Gu Jingzi turned around and sat behind the desk, looking at Lin Che. Lin Che's face crossed the desk and came up to him. Her mysterious look was very cute. Although she was already a mother of 2 children, had her own studio and such a big company, and was no longer the silly little girl who had nothing in the past, and in the eyes of others, she was already a successful person, she still behaved like a child. Looking at her face, coming closer, he gave her a peck on the lips. "It's already a surprise that you're here. You don't have to bring anything." Lin Che's heart skipped a beat. She could really feel the throbbing sensation. "You're so annoying. You're teasing me on purpose." She snorted and pouted. "But I still brought it for you." "What?" he asked. She declared solemnly, "You must praise me. You're not allowed to despise me." "Sigh, this is an order, isn't it?" No, it's a must. You can't despise me." Okay. If you don't despise me, I'll definitely praise you." He was amused by her expression. She was even forcing him to praise her. However, it wasn't easy to get his praise. If it were her, it wouldn't hurt to be forced. In this world, she was the only one who could order him like this. Suddenly, a small lunchbox was placed in front of him. He was stunned and looked at her speechlessly. He looked worried. "Must I praise you?" Lin Che pouted. "What's with that expression? You look so reluctant." If it was something else, he believed that she could do it well, but that it was cooking, he was sure that it wouldn't be good to praise her. He said, "It's not that I can't. If I lie, it doesn't matter." You. Lin Che was so angry that he stretched out his hand and pointed in his direction. Seeing that he was smiling, he simply tapped his forehead and said, "Get lost. How can it be so scary? It must be delicious. This time the chef supervised me." Lin Che was so angry that he stretched out his hand and pointed in his direction. Okay. Why are you so agitated? I believe you." She harumphed and looked at him threateningly. Her gaze seemed to say, "If you dare to look at me with any disdain, just wait and see." The food container was slowly opened. Gu Jingzi took a look at the things inside and immediately said, "It looks good." Lin Che hurriedly nodded. Of course. "Did you really do it?" "Sure. Do you dare question me?" Lin Che was the first to throw a rude look at him. No. Gu Jingzi chuckled. Looking at the chopsticks that Lin Che handed to him, he quickly said, Okay. I'll eat, okay?" Lin Che stared at him with wide eyes. He looked up. "How am I supposed to eat when you're staring at me like this?" Lin Che's second overbearing gaze shot over. "Why can't I eat it? Hurry up and give it to me." Gu Jingzi laughed and looked at her, who was acting like a tigress. Okay, I'll eat it, okay." After taking a bite, he felt that the taste was not as bad as he had imagined. At the very least, it was much better than her previous attempts. It was so good that she could eat it. It looked like it wouldn't poison anyone. He ate one bite at a time, while Lin Che watched from the side. Only when he finished eating did Lin Che clap his hands in satisfaction. Seeing that she was finally satisfied, Gu Jingzi said, "Can you put down your chopsticks now?" "Yeah, you can start praising me," Lin Che said with her arms akimbo. Gu Jingzi looked like he wanted to cry, but had no tears. Lin Che immediately used the third overbearing gaze. Gu Jingzi said, Okay. My wife is beautiful, generous, kind, and cute. You do everything well. He reached across the table and pulled her towards him. Aya, what are you doing? Lin Che was directly dragged over, and when he fell in his arms, he was still struggling. He hugged her and said, "Verbal praise can't express how much I like you." He bit her neck first. "Aya, you're biting the hand that feeds you." "No, I'm not full yet. Although it's delicious, it's not as delicious as you." Being hugged and kissed by him, Lin Che's neck was so itchy that her whole body trembled. She kept calling out, let go, Gu Jingza, it's so itchy." Gu Jingza let go of her and looked at her face. "Thank you." She didn't know what to do with him being so serious all of a sudden. Gu Jingza pulled her. You're so nice to me." Lin Che lowered her head in embarrassment. "Is this okay?" "Of course. But I haven't cooked for you much." "No need. I know you mean it. But other people's wives cook for their husbands. Why don't I cook for you in the future?" "No, I don't want you to be so tired." He kissed her hand. "Your hand is so beautiful. I don't want you to work so hard every day to wash vegetables and cook." Lin Che's heart softened again. However, she frowned at him and threatened, "Are you sure it's not because the food is so bad that you don't want to eat it anymore?" Gu Jingzi smiled faintly. "You're smart now." Lin Che was stunned and then suddenly understood. What he meant was that she was smarter now and could even guess correctly. That meant that she was right. Lin Che immediately put on a fierce expression. "Gu Jingzi, okay, I won't tease you anymore. It's not bad. I like it." Actually, it didn't matter what he ate. He was already full when she came and saw him. He was even more full when he could eat the food she made. He said, "But that's what I said. I don't want you to be so tired. Don't worry about me. I can take care of myself. I know what I'm doing." "I don't think you know." Lin Che looked at him and sighed in his heart. "Look at you. You haven't even eaten lunch, right?" Lin Che said, "You're older than me. It seems that men have a shorter lifespan than women. If you don't cherish yourself, do you want to leave me alone in this world in the future?" Lin Che suddenly felt afraid at the thought of this. She couldn't imagine what would be the point of her life if he was gone. Gu Jingzi was also silent. He looked at Lin Che and indifferently approached her. He held her hand and pressed it against her forehead. All his advice was useless. However, this sentence pierced deeply into his heart. "Okay, I promise you. I'll eat well in the future." Only then did she smile gently. The two of them cuddled for a long time before Lin Che finally left. Gu Jingzi said, "But the food you cook has indeed improved. Look, I haven't been poisoned to death yet, which means it's still okay. Get lost." She must have married a fake husband. Chapter 1334. Gu Jingzi didn't cry out in pain when she pinched his chest. Instead, he laughed out loud. The two of them were like a newlywed couple. Their relationship was so good that it made people envious. On the other side, the incident at the kindergarten was not over yet. One afternoon, something happened at the kindergarten. A few of the children suddenly reacted strangely. The teacher immediately realized that something was wrong with the children. They were vomiting and their faces were yellow. Gu Xinian was not one of them. Because his things would be specially checked in advance, basically nothing would happen. The children were playing outside in the sun when a few of them vomited. Gu Xinian immediately saw them walking out together. Li Wei asked curiously, "What happened?" Gu Xinian narrowed his eyes. "A few of them vomited together? I think so. Did they eat something bad? Even so, they shouldn't vomit together." Gu Xinian stood up immediately and walked over. When the teacher saw that it was Gu Xinian, she quickly said, "Stay away. Something happened here." "I know. What happened?" The teacher looked at Gu Xinian and then at the children around him. Gu Xinian was not a normal child. The teacher said, "A few of them vomited together." Gu Xinian immediately asked, "How long has it been?" "Just now." Gu Xinian immediately waved at the security guards outside. When the security guards saw that their young master was calling them, they hurried over. Gu Xinian ordered calmly, "Get someone to lock down the kindergarten, especially the kitchen. Don't let anyone in or out. Keep all the records. If anything suspicious happens, report immediately." The teacher stared at him, dumbfounded. Seeing this, the security guards who had been through hundreds of battles, did not hesitate at all. They immediately obeyed the order and went to work. The teacher immediately understood what Gu Xinian meant. There might be something wrong with the kitchen. Immediately lock down the place and keep all the information. Don't give anyone a chance to destroy it. It would be more helpful for the investigation later on. That was because the kitchen would have records of the incoming goods and the cooking process. No matter where the goods came from, who was in charge of the food, how the food was distributed to the cafeterias of each class, everything would be recorded. There are also very important surveillance cameras. If the surveillance cameras were destroyed, the difficulty of the investigation would be greatly increased. The teacher looked at the child in shock. In just a few seconds, the child had already made a judgment and quickly implemented it. He was really a genius child. Just where did his intelligence come from? No wonder these security guards were so obedient to his words. It seemed that they had never seen him as a child. At this moment, Gu Xinian turned around and interrupted the teacher's exclamation. He then instructed, "Get someone to inform my father and mother. The doctors they brought will be better. Don't let outsiders come into contact with these children." Yes. When the teacher said yes, she felt surprised. Why did she sound like a subordinate who was listening to orders? However, this child had such an aura, especially that expression just now. It made people subconsciously submit to him. On Lin Che's side, the security guard immediately sent a message. Lin Che was stunned. He stood up and gritted his teeth. Wasn't this Xuemingqi a little too much? How dare she lay her hands on these children? Everyone in the Gu family knew that Xuemingqi was capable. However, the Gu family should also know that Xuemingqi was a vicious and merciless person. She never cared about the way she did things. She only cared about the results. Lin Che immediately called the doctor over. However, he couldn't stop the news media from broadcasting it immediately. What a coincidence. The incident had just happened an hour ago, and the news had already been released. How could things happen so quickly? When did the media in C country become so timely? Or was it that someone had already prepared for the news to be published quickly? On the news, someone said just now there was a suspected food poisoning incident at Xianmeng International Kindergarten. Several children have already been hospitalized because of vomiting. The specific situation is still under investigation. This kindergarten was previously approved to occupy a large area, have high tuition fees, and have a shocking lineup of teachers. However, no one knows what kind of background they have. Through the media reports, only a small group of people knew about this amazing kindergarten. Now, a large number of ordinary people suddenly discovered the wonders of this kindergarten. The aerial photo of the kindergarten was big and beautiful. It was like a small park. The building was also so luxurious that it made people feel like it was a small castle. There were also many people who discovered that the teachers were so strong that they were speechless. It didn't look like a kindergarten at all. Even some high-class schools wouldn't have such strong teachers. This was indeed a kindergarten for children between 2 to 6 years old. The people couldn't help but start to be surprised. What kind of children were attending this class? It didn't look like a school that ordinary people could enter. It was probably a school for the children of tycoons and powerful people. Lin Che immediately called the doctor at home to rush over. She knew what Gu Xinian meant. The doctor outside might be Xuemingqi's people again. If something were to happen again, it would be irreversible. Lin Che also rushed to the kindergarten as soon as possible. The doctor examined the children and found that they were indeed poisoned. "Madam, we found nitrite in the children's stomachs. It looks like a substance that would only appear in ordinary food poisoning. However, the amount is a bit large. It should be because they directly ingested too much nitrite." "Was it poisoned?" Lin Che said. "It's very likely," the doctor said. Lin Che pinched his chin and stood there watching. Gu Xinian said, "Mom, what do we do now?" Lin Che said, "The media has already reported it. They're doing this on purpose to make it difficult for us to deal with it secretly. We can only deal with it. Can't we block the media? If we block it now, it will only make people speculate more. It's better to apologize truthfully," Lin Che said. Gu Xinian said, "This person is too bad. She actually did this to such young children." Lin Che nodded. Looks like if we don't deal with her properly, we won't be able to live in peace. However, it had to be said that this Xue Mingqi was really scheming. She targeted their kindergarten time and time again. She found a weakness and concentrated all her methods to frame them. Lin Che thought about how to counterattack, but outside, the parents had already caught up. No, why are you stopping me? We want to see the principal. Our children are fine. How could they be poisoned here? Why didn't you send them to the hospital for treatment? What do you mean by treating them here? If anything happens, can you take responsibility? Chapter 1335. Lin Che walked out immediately. Parents, I understand your worries. What do you understand? The child isn't yours. Of course you won't be worried. An anxious mother interrupted her. That's right. You're just a celebrity. Do you think you know everything just because you open a kindergarten? How would you know if you've never had a child? The fact that Lin Che had a child had not been exposed yet. Naturally, no one knew that Lin Che's own son was here too. Moreover, he was living in danger every day. Lin Che said, Believe me, I can really understand you mothers. Even if you think that I can't understand, for the reputation of the kindergarten, I will definitely not let anything happen to your children. For the sake of my own conscience, I will definitely do my best. We don't believe you. Take our children to the hospital. Hurry up. I don't want you idiots to treat our children. We want to go to a big hospital and find an expert doctor to treat our children. Yes, you must take full responsibility. Lin Che said, A big hospital, right? What if I promise you that the place I'll take you to is better than any big hospital? We don't believe you. Don't try to lie to us and take us to some place with some faux prescription. Definitely not, Lin Che said immediately. Let's not waste any more time. The most important thing is to give the child the best treatment, isn't it? Lin Che waved his hand and said to them, Contact Dr. Chun. We'll bring the child there immediately. Yes. Naturally, the parents had to follow along. When they arrived, they realized that they had actually come to the research institute. They could not understand the cutting-edge equipment inside. It looked like a high-tech concentration camp. There were very few people, but there were many nurses and doctors. Hey, there are so many doctors and so few people. What kind of lousy hospital are you bringing us to? A mother who did not understand asked from behind. Everyone was used to the medical environment in Country C. There were too many people and not enough hospitals. As a result, the hospital was overcrowded. The better the hospital, the more people there were. But there was not a single person here. How could this place be good? If it was a good place, it would have been full. However, it was not. Lin Che didn't say anything and directly led them in. Finally, a parent who understood said, Here, I know this place. This isn't a hospital. This is a research institute. The doctors here are all PhD researchers. They're really amazing. The one who spoke was a father who was carrying a child. He immediately hugged the child and said, Are we going to treat him here? Yes. Behind her, her mother quickly said, What doctorate? This is the most advanced technology. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. There are so many people outside who can't come in for treatment, even if they have money. Sai, let's treat our child first. When the people behind heard that it was so powerful, they hurriedly said, Treat us first. Why is our child so weak? Actually, although they were suffering from food poisoning, the doctor had already taken a look at them, so they were fine. However, their parents definitely wouldn't agree, so Lin Che brought them here for treatment. After settling down the parents, Lin Che heaved a sigh of relief. Standing there, she thought about how she should handle this matter. When they returned to kindergarten, everyone was still thinking about what to do. Lin Che encouraged everyone. Then, she went back to rest and exhaustion. The next day, unexpectedly, the kindergarten suddenly made the headlines. It was said to be the best kindergarten in Country C. Someone specially came to explain how big the kindergarten facilities were, how many teachers there were, and what kind of background each teacher had. Damn, this specially hired teacher is a French pianist. They actually have a swimming pool. I've already dug out the tuition list. The tuition isn't as expensive as I thought. It's only $130,000 a year. Damn, what do you mean it's not as expensive as I thought? 100,000 for a kindergarten? Carrot, with this level of teaching, 130,000 is really cheap. Do you know how much that French pianist's piano lessons cost? One lesson. Take note. One lesson costs 100,000. Damn, this is daylight robbery. At the same time, Li Mingyu immediately came looking for him. What's going on, Lin Che? I just went out to play for 2 days, and something happened at our kindergarten. What do you mean by our kindergarten? Although Li Mingyu begged to join and was considered one of the shareholders who would argue with him, something did happen, but the main point is that everyone is digging into our kindergarten's background. This Xueminqi is really too much. She helped us advertise for free. Lin Che felt a headache when he thought about it, especially when he saw the netizens making such bold guesses. They guessed that it was related to the president. In the end, it was indeed related to Mr. President. Mr. President's child was studying here, so it didn't matter. However, the news media still didn't dare to expose this news. It was related to the safety of Mr. President's daughter. They were worried that if it was exposed, it would cause some danger. Li Mingyu said, "Seriously, is there something wrong with the Gu family? How dare they cause trouble for me?" "Sai, what do you mean by cause trouble? I have money here too." "All right, you can be angry, but let's agree that you can't cause trouble." Lin Che didn't want him to cause more trouble. If everyone knew, it wouldn't be good for the children. Originally, the original intention of building this kindergarten was for the children's safety. Now that some of the news had been exposed by Xueminqi, she already felt a headache. Li Mingyu said, "Don't worry. How can I cause trouble? I'm just going to ask the Gu family first." "What do you mean by this is part of their family? This kindergarten is opened by me and you. It has nothing to do with them." "What do you mean by opening it with her?" There were several partners. At this moment, Black Eagle also stepped in. "Count me in. I have a share here too." He actually said that it's his family's. Does he mean that my Black Eagle's property is also his family's? "Sai, you guys." Without waiting for Lin Che to organize, Li Mingyu had already hooked his arm around Black Eagle's shoulder. "That's right. Let's go and ask them what they mean." In an instant, the two troublemakers were mixed together. Looking at them with their arms around each other's shoulders, Lin Che felt a headache. One was enough for her, and this matter involved both of them at once. They wouldn't really go to the Gu family, would they? However, when it came to these two people, nothing was impossible. They went straight to the Gu family's residence. Without saying anything, the two of them squatted down at the Gu family's headquarters, causing the entire Gu family to tense up. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.